We're live. I guess we're going live. What's Yanko? I'll see if I can figure out how to do this. Got a list of questions. All sorts of stuff going on here. List of previous questions, and we'll dive right into it. So as you know, it's Sunday. Figured it was time for this. So we're at like 203 videos, I think I've put out. Granted, it's been like a year of actually consistent videos and a lot of actual entertainment. So with that being said, there was people that actually put questions on yesterday's notification that we were going to go live. And I'll dive right in. I'm probably going to screw up some of the names and whatnot. But WHSHR103 yesterday, he's got a question. Or she's got a question. Yanko's out of here already. In the dyno video, we got the 3020 sitting out back with a hole in the window of the block. And there's a lot of questions that revolve around that actual thing. And the biggest things are, why don't you use it? Why don't you fix it? Yes, I'm creative with actually fixing, doing hands-on stuff. We bought that tractor for $4,500. If you tried to go find a block for that tractor or a full motor, you're like $4 grand. So you can buy a working 3020 for less than you can actually fix that 3020. And then it would be a great tractor to cultivate, but it's a little too small to run the mixer. There's no comfort to it. I wouldn't want to plant with it. So it filled its spot when we actually raked hay with it. But after that, it's not something that I wanted to do. Hey, there's all the comments. Hey, I'm figuring this out. So I appreciate everybody joining in. So let's see what else we got. Yeah. I don't know how you turn on the notifications for live streams, but I'm glad you guys are here. So next question that I got here, somebody said, Cowman 540. They see that we have all Holsteins and ask why we don't actually have jerseys. I think jerseys are probably a more efficient cow. Granted, I'm second generation farmer. We've had a closed herd for like 35 years, so I don't see us actually buying any Jersey cows in to be better. With the robots, Jersey cows are absolutely the way to go. And Jerseys are very high on components. How many cows do we have? So we're milking 120 cows. We got 240 or so cows. We need less replacement heifers. And granted, it's like 95 degrees here right now, so it's hot. So we need less replacement heifers, but we were growing to build that. So which hand did I put the screwdriver in? That's that. You can't actually see it. And that is actually where the razor blade went in. So we're doing actually pretty good. Yeah, Yanko was over here a minute ago. Next trip to Wisconsin, I hope not for a little while. We're going to go to Ohio and Michigan in 2 weeks, and I got some really exciting stuff to go. Who owns the milking machines? I actually on paper own one of them, but it's just how it works in. The farm, the state owns one because of that. That's our lease. So the farm owns the second technically, and we own a lot of the stuff in the barn, all of the cows, the equipment, things like that. So it all works into the lease. Somebody says a 3020 in the Midwest goes for 75 to 12K. Yeah. We can get 3020s around. They're just not like 4020. You can get a lot more parts. There's just a lot more made of them. So we'll see what goes on there. Yanko wants to find some AC. Yeah, he does. We got AC in the bedroom, but not in here. So, how many acres do we actually farm? Somebody had asked that. And to a lot of farmers, it's like forbidden to tell how many acres you farm. A lot of us, it's knowledge of what we actually farm. So me personally, I farm 10 acres. I want to get to 100 acres of my own in the next few years. It's a challenge to grow because it's not like we have acres on acres on acres, and you just go offer somebody more money than somebody else. Hey, Louise, I see you. I'm coming to Texas at some point to chop. So with Pete Mack and Louise. So we'll get some Texas video at some point. So I can't just go out and throw a bunch of money at a neighboring property and say, hey, I want to go farm that. That would make it a lot more, that would make it pretty easy. Instead, I got to not upset other people because the veggie guys could outbid me on everything and still make a lot of money. But at the same rate, I got to tiptoe around that. I'm farming ground that people don't want to farm. The farm, on the other hand, has 340 acres, I think we're farming at the farm for the farm side. So appreciate the person from New Zealand too. When I lived in New Zealand, that was awesome. So beautiful country. Yep, clean shirt. I don't wear this one out. So Lewis Farms, if you haven't watched the video, in New York, that was an awesome experience. Good people. I'd like to see more of their stuff actually run. Is it really worth planting corn this late in the year compared to the spring? There's people still planting to this date. Definitely more beneficial to plant and get the longer season corn going. But with that being said, the stuff that we planted, I haven't went and looked at it. We got to do that this week. What tractor has the most hours? The 2950 has 15,000 hours, but did do a motor in it. My all-time favorite or tractor of my dreams, I don't know. There's a lot of different, depends what I want to do. I want a Fendt someday. It's just scary with the price tag of like $250,000. But we'll see. We'll see. It would be awesome. Like a 724 Fendt would be really, really awesome. Yeah, there we go. What's your dream tractor? I don't know. I always wanted a 7520, and that's why I ended up doing it. Buying one. I have too many dream tractors. Definitely too many dream tractors. Let's see. Where are we? Hello from Ireland. You ever grow soybeans? I don't. Frank does. We don't have enough ground to actually grow more. We can't crop farm because we could use all the feed to actually feed the cows. No girlfriend. I'm not married to Brittany. I'm not dating Brittany. We were best friends. I think my GoPro just turned on. Yeah, me and her are just best friends. So, ever been to Vermont? Yeah, we bought the tanker trailer from Four Hills. The tanker came out of there. I actually lived in Vermont for a period of time. So yeah, I've been to Vermont a lot. Massey and Fendt, yes, it's the same, but Weavers is an unbelievable dealership. So that's why I would go with a Fendt. Been to Nova Scotia, beautiful place. You ever gonna get a Deere chopper? No. A lot of people said I should have bought a Deere. I think Fendt's like 10 years ahead at Kloss is 10 years ahead at every step. And we don't have a Deere dealer that actually like makes sense to work with. So that's probably the biggest reason I want Kloss, because of Weavers and the support there. Like you absolutely can't beat them. Never been to Ireland. Some point I want to go to Ireland. When I was in New Zealand, I worked with Irish guys and have a bunch of friends over there that would love to go see it. My truck, I picked up the motor Friday. So hopefully we get that going. Somebody who wants to become a farmer, learn. I wish I knew everything I know now, like 10 years ago, because it's a whole different spectrum. My teacher in college pushed me to go on an internship. That was a very educational experience. So if you're looking to farm more and more, experience, go outside your realm and learn a lot from other people. What happened to the pickup? We were headed to Iowa. think we were going to Iowa. Illinois. We were headed to Illinois for the 6155 to bring that home, and I cracked. Well, hold on. I cracked that piston right in half, and actually, there's a hole in it. So that's what happened, along with 5 other pistons. So that's why the truck went into pieces. It's good now. It's ready to make 1,000 horsepower. We're not actually going to make 1,000 horsepower. A lot of questions. Have you ever been to Andy Horgan? No. I would like to go to Andy Horgan, and we will see the next trip. Yeah, me and Jared are Snapchat friends, Jared Horgan and whatnot like that. So definitely awesome. They run their shop, I think, is probably the most efficient use of shop space of anybody I know. They move things in and out, which is awesome. What compelled me to make a YouTube channel? It started off as just making videos, and I figured I ran across enough different entertaining stuff that people liked it. And I had a following on Instagram and Snapchat of people that follow me for Yanko and for the random experiences I have. So it was awesome. Yes, I have the piston in my house. It's like a mantelpiece now. It's like the wall of shame. I got the antler that went through the tire. I got a few other things that have costed me a lot of money. What's your day job? I work for Deere Valve for an independent dealership. Yeah, doing robot support. So it's like a 24-hour job because robots never stop. So do that. I've been there for over 3 years, which is awesome. I have a great boss. I got a great team. We cover from southern New Hampshire, southern Vermont, down all the way across Connecticut, across Massachusetts. So I don't know who disliked the video. Somebody asked that. Yeah. Let's see. How old's Yanko? He's 6.5. Just about 6.5. So still in his puppy stage. When I lived in Vermont, I actually dated a girl in Vermont that was my buddy's herdswoman. So I lived up in Addison County. What else we got? If I don't have bad luck, you'd have no luck. I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. So my pickup, I should put the motor in this week and see what goes on. I don't work on parlors for Deere Valve. We have guys that do that. I don't even know how to turn a parlor on and milk cows in a parlor. I've just never done it. Yeah. You guys ever shell corn? No, we do not. I'd like to do snaplage, which would be taking just the ear off of the plant and chopping it, which would involve me getting a Deere combine head. I have the adapter plate to go on the chopper already. The previous owner actually did that. I enjoy this though. Everyone's hammering out questions, so it's interesting because I just ramble around and then I don't get around to actually answering questions. And when I do, can you show more of the cow work and cleaning the barn and that kind of? I haven't previous, like way back, and it just became so much that I don't actually do a lot of the cows. I do all the robot side of it, but I really don't know, like me doing robot work. I bounce around, do things like that. So I'll show more and more of that. But I used to feed cows every morning, and then I just got burnt out, so I stopped doing that because a little bit of sleep is nice. Outside of farming, what are your hobbies like? Farming, traveling to other farms to go farming. My pickup, traveling, things like that. That's pretty much all I want. Yeah, so 4-row head. Somebody says they got a 4-row head if you want to do earlage. I feel like the chopper needs a 6-row to keep enough capacity going through it, but we'll have to see what actually goes on. I need a more. That would be a thing if we run into a case where we have way too much corn silage a year after year. The intro is a 75/20 pulling the discs, and those discs, we still have those discs. Do you play Farm Simulator? I used to. I don't own an Xbox or anything like that, but somebody left theirs here once, and I used to play it. There is previous videos of how the robots actually work. So spreading manure on grass ground, why we don't use a dribble bar. Dribble bar on trucks is really not a thing. If I get to the point I set another semi up, then we'll actually I'll probably get a tractor that matches with it. And then we'll actually nurse into tankers all the time and keep going. Other farming videos or other farming channels, yeah, Farm and Fix and Fabrication. Religious with that, Larson's, Welker's, pretty much all that. Let's see. There is a lot of questions. Are you a Boston Bruins fan? I used to play hockey full time. I actually thought I was going to do that for my future for a while, and then I realized I'd rather go farming and stop playing hockey. And yeah, it was interesting. How often do you have to deal with people being mad at you for farming near them? Overall, most of them are pretty good. I do capitalize on the crazy people videos because that's what people like to watch. There's definitely people that don't appreciate when we're like hauling manure, working at night. Granted, this year we really haven't worked at night that much. Like we spread fertilizer the other day at night. But other than that, when I didn't have big equipment, I would run to 2 a.m. and people would be very mad. We'd have the cops called. How long have you been flying your drone? When did I get it? Last year? Year and a half ago? If you have a drone, you got to fly it a lot to get good at it. And I miss that factor. Let's see. Name one piece of equipment you would like to have. Ooh. I don't know. I'd really like a bigger corn planter. I'd really like it. What year is the 7520 and did you buy it brand new? No, I bought the 7520 4 years ago. It came out of Oklahoma. I think I'm like the third or the fourth owner of it, just because of what the guy gave me the story on it. Yeah, there is a lot of questions, so I appreciate that. What's up with the Deere skid steer? I actually got it running the other day when I was just standing around. I do watch One Lonely Farmer. I enjoy his honesty of things. But the Deere skid steer is running. It had a connector that was broken off and a wire that was gone. And I couldn't see that, and they cleaned it out, and then it was good. Yeah. What's the biggest downfall you run into? Ooh. Not being in an area of agriculture. I think if I was like in an agricultural area, I would be farming 1,000 acres, 1,500 acres. But I do a lot of things to put the puzzle together. How many tons of feed do you need to make it through the winter without buying other sources? So we're running out of corn silage because we were short on grass. Last year we put up 2,500 tons of corn silage. So I'm trying to think exactly how many we need. If we had less heifers, we'd be in a better boat. And we did downsize some of that. I'll get back to you on that question. Why are your roads narrow? Well, everything here was built like 300 years ago, and they decided never to move rock walls, trees, boulders. So that's why all our roads are narrow. Like these were goat paths and horse paths, and that's why. Will you have enough room to store your grass silage? I don't think so if it keeps going. We haven't had that much rain in a little bit, but it does say it's going to rain all week. So we'll see what goes on. Okay, Lane, you were one of the questions. Why don't you put a way to mount the mower on the 7520 on the front and hydraulic pump? My buddy Evan, who's been in previous videos and we've been out to his place, had a Steiger that had that set up. 6030s, awesome tractors. herds manager, nobody really. It bounces around. But you need a lot of hydraulics to actually run the front mower. And their issue was somebody set it up really, really nice. It would overheat all the time. So that was the problem. High moisture corn. We don't have enough ground to actually do high moisture corn. At some point, I'd like to do snaplage, which I think would be better because I own the chopper than hiring somebody with a combine to come in. I don't know how to prevent certain people from leaving comments either. So somebody asked that. Why not silage bales instead? So everybody I know who does silage bales, they start and they just never end. They just keep going and going. The whole point with the chopper is I can somewhat find some help, but it was much faster, and then I can get back to my actual day job. If you're a farmer and want to do the road trip to the East Coast and help for a day or two, yeah, okay. Your dog is nuts, and I friggin' love it. He gets pretty revved up at points, but he is a good dog. 30 series Deers. I agree that a 30 series Deere over a 20 series is much more ahead on the wiring side of it. So we bought the 7320 in 05 for $50,000, and it had like 300 hours on it. It was a deal. We should have bought 3 of them. They were all in Connecticut. They were trading tractors. If you got a new chopper, what would it be? Another Kloss, like an 850 Speedstar would be nice. Going 16 miles an hour over the road is pretty bad. But I just looked at one at a farm that just bought one, and it came out of New York from a buddy's farm, and it's a really nice chopper. But to think about that, my chopper, I'm into it for like 35 as where it stands today, all in. Even with the parts chopper, they paid $95,000 for that used chopper, and then they found some issues, and I think they're into it for another $5,000. So it definitely, you can eat up a lot of money in a self-propelled chopper, and it's hard to gain that back. And if I got a bigger chopper, I'd need more trucks and more people, or it just sits as much. How much would you like to expand the farm in the future? As far as milking cows, I want to stay at 120 cows, but I would like to be able to do snaplage or high moisture or do bales, because we do buy bales in for certain things. We buy straw in, and we buy a lot of cornmeal in. So being able to do that. How old's your chopper? It's a 94. There is some that kick around the U.S., and I see more and more of them, but there's a lot of them in Europe. I know my hands have never been this clean. I know. GoPro's going off. I did shower, and washed it. Who takes your milk? So we're co-op is Agrimark. Agrimark owns Cabot Cheese and McAdam Cheese throughout the Northeast. So I think there's like 900 of us that own the whole Cabot, the whole brand. My father's a director. He's been on the board. He's the longest one on the board. When he first started, he was the youngest guy on the board. Plans for farming full-time? Sometime. It's really easy to say you're going to go farming full-time. Paying for insurance, for medical, stuff like that, it adds up. And I wouldn't be at my point where I do. Would your chopper be able to do snaplage? Yes, the previous owner did snaplage. That's why I have the adapter on it. Hello from Belgium. Hey, what's up? Never been to Belgium. Hello from North Korea. I don't know. Is that real? Let's see. What else? Time to go feed cows. Appreciate you guys watching along on that one. So yeah, how many acres? I answered that earlier. We're at like 360 with mine. Did you find the cultivator piece that you lost in the field? No. And I looked pretty hard on it. So I'm hoping I do not find it with a tire. That's what I'm more worried about. Do you notice a big difference in how big or small you chop your haylage? Yes, it makes a difference on the feed quality side. And with robots, cows turning, it's a big thing. I think a lot of it is the packing density. So yeah, there is Longer pieces, I think, are always better for a cow, but I don't think you get as good quality of it. So there's definitely a difference on that side of it. Sorry if I missed some of these comments. The drought hitting parts of the farming. We were drought stricken last year. It's pretty depressing that we watched rain go by and we never got any rain. We got 4 inches of rain from when we planted to when we harvest, and the only thing that kept us going was the amount of manure that we put on the ground to keep it going. Yeah. Don't find it. Don't find it with the harvester. I won't find it with the harvester because it's laying on the ground. Plus the metal. The head would be up high enough off the ground. Issues with width on the roads, but would you get a merger versus using a rake? I would love a merger. I would. Rock makes a merger that's like 20 foot wide. It narrows up to like 8 something. Buying a used merger is expensive. Buying a new merger is expensive. So I never even asked them what that merger costs. I think it's like a 710 or something like that they call it. I bet it's like $70,000. I would love a rock merger. I would love a merger. Just it's more consistent than a rake. You don't have the ash content of a rake. So I think at the end of the day, it's much better. There's a few. Trying to think. There's 1 merger or 2 mergers in Massachusetts now, and people are absolutely loving it. People are loving it. The 2 halves together of on your baby, I think the 75-20 you're talking about. No, I finished up getting the clutch ready today, so that's going to go in. Acres that we run that keeps asking 3 something, 360, 370. Especially banking on. Yeah, people with pivots, I would love irrigation because we could just turn it on. When we have water here, and we have water in sources, but it's just hard to go. Getting a new merger, I still don't know. That's up to my father. He was talking to people. We should be starting second cutting, and I'm probably going to baby that coon that we have through to keep going. Somebody asked, okay, Matt here, if you want to get started in farming, what crop would you suggest, and would you suggest agricultural classes before starting? Kind of answered that before where I said I would go farm with somebody or learn off of somebody. Right now, corn, if you could figure out how to grow corn, it's a very valuable crop. 2 years ago, it wasn't worth nearly that much. Merging in Woodstock, yes, I know there's mergers in Woodstock. Fairview has a merger. Trying to think who else has a merger. Are you planning on any farm merchandise? Yes, I have a guy that I've been waiting on artwork from that should be absolutely awesome artwork, but I guess you can't rush that kind of stuff. What else we got? Buying a new chopper. Not unless I pick up a bunch of other land to actually run. But we'll see. Yeah. My chopper is perfect for where I'm at right now, and I can work on it, and the costs aren't to the point, and I have a whole spare parts chopper that has a lot of stuff to go with it. Compost sold at the farm. We do compost loam. We buy in ice cream, so we sell ice cream on that side of it. We used to do sweet corn and stuff like that, and we just outgrew it. And that was a big thing. What kind of drone? Use a Maverick Pro 2. I do have the goggles that you put on and you can fly. You just can't do that when you're driving anything because you run into a lot of stuff. Question for Duffy: would you upgrade your tractor for more hauling away from the farm? And the low boy and tanker from the farm with the low boy and tanker. Yeah, it would be cool, the 75-20 with like a 5,000 gallon tanker with injectors on it, but it's probably not as practical. But we will see. Favorite job on the farm? Growing corn. I absolutely love growing corn. People always ask. I have the one tattoo, which is ear corn, and the other one actually says "Last of a Dying Breed." Who makes our ice cream? Bliss Brothers in Attleboro. They got bought by New England Ice Cream or something like that. Yeah, Bliss was really, really good. Biggest field we plant corn in, 14 acres. So we don't have any like 150 acre fields. The issue of the 4230 on the slurry pump, I think the radiator was just plug still. The 4230 needs some love. It's probably going to get a high compression piston kit in it, and we're going to send the pump back out even though we did it. Mitch Michael, yes, I watched Mitch Michael. Awesome. 44,000 acres in Canada. It's wild. It's a whole different ballgame. So, yes, I do. When are you going to get another Modesto dairy solution? They got bought by TDS, or they merged with them. So Ryan merged with them, who's the dealer out of Canada. My old boss is actually, from when I worked in the De La Valve days, he's actually key accounts manager or something for it. So they own a huge area now. How many acres of corn we have now? 165, I think, total is what we're going to be. When was the last time used upright silos, and what do you think of them? I don't like heights. We never used these upright silos. My father did upright silos when he was in New Hampshire prior. We'd need like 7 of them to take all of our crops, and they're just not cost effective. And the ones that are there should probably get ripped down at some point. The roofs are not exactly safe, and I would never put feed in them. Is there much alfalfa grown in your area? Do you purchase any alfalfa? Not a lot of alfalfa. It's definitely a mix in it. Growing pure alfalfa, I don't think we have the heat units and the weather like the Midwest to grow high dollar or high value alfalfa. When do you think tractors that will go 50 plus miles an hour get popular in the U.S.? Somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're only allowed to go like 34 miles an hour in the U.S. There is actually a restriction. You can get black market tractors imported, but usually they get red flagged. So that will definitely, it used to be like 21 miles an hour and it got bumped up to a faster speed. So I know in Europe, there's tractors, they run right like highways. Do you ever think you'll do cranberries again? No. We pulled the irrigation pump out this year. I don't see it as a value added crop for us, and it took a lot of man hours, and yeah, it was an experience, but I don't see us actually doing it. Let's see. Join the stream. I appreciate the guys in Norway that it's 12:33 in the morning and you guys are still up watching. So, corn is great. I love growing corn. Appreciate Hendrickson Family Farm watching. A big bud with a silage blade, I'd feel bad. Plus, it would be just too much of a big tractor for around here, even if we ran singles. Hey, Andy, I see you're on here now. So, Farm and Fix and Fabrication. Let's see. Tom Pemberton, I watch him. I do enjoy him. I enjoy Europe in general. There's a lot of things that go on in Europe that you just don't see in the U.S. Same with when I was in New Zealand. Spot the geese. Does Yanko spot the geese in the field, or do you let him know? Usually he sees them and he knows they're there. He knows what fields they're usually in, so then he goes and actually chases it. But what kind of woman would you like to marry? Some farm girl, and there's not farm girls around here, so that's actually interesting. How much deer damage do you get? Not much. Our biggest damage is geese. This year really wasn't that bad, other than that one field, and we got to go look at it. Next big purchase, I bought 2 things online in the last 2 weeks. Nothing major. We'll see if a truck or a service truck or whatnot. How old were you when you started farming? Born into it, so I guess, yeah. Any plans upgrading the 7520? Nope. Absolutely love that tractor. Just has taken some money. Got AC for it, so we're gonna make it good there and finish out the cab. New silage chopper. Not unless I get much bigger. Have you grown sorghum to cut for silage? Yes. We tried it with our pull type chopper, and what I learned from the guys in like Texas that do a lot of it, sorghum isn't ready until it's falling down, and so the chain had really struggled to do it, and we never got dry enough. So, hello from New Zealand. What were you doing? What you're up doing there? I appreciate it. So, you come out to see California. I've been to California with Modesto. That's why I have a Modesto hat. They're great people. I loved working in California. I like the taco trucks too in California. Will you continue the daily videos for how much longer? I have no idea. I might run out of content. Motor going in my pickup. Hopefully this week I'll have it in because, like I said, we got a road trip planned or working on it. So why not build a workshop? That goes back to we don't actually own the land. Got to work it into our lease and make sure that it's all going to work out for everything. And it would be me building a workshop, not the farm building a workshop, stuff like that. Someday I'd like to. If a piece of land comes up for sale around, I would be okay with jumping on it and trying to build that. But then again, our land is ridiculous amount of money. 2 acres, 300,000, 400,000 woods, not like open space. So, what pickup do you drive now? I just drive my work van. I don't go many places. Yeah. How much is your dad on board with extra land? So what I grow, I'm going to sell back to the farm. It makes it a little more interesting that a lot of it I'm doing so that legally, financially, I can get farm plates for myself. I can continue to get grants for myself, stuff like that. Have you been to Canada? Yes. I've been to most provinces on the east side. Used to work in Canada. Used to work in Ontario quite a bit in the Maritimes when I worked for De La Valve. Somebody asked how many other dairy farms are in the area. There's none. There's one in Frankstown, 2 towns over, and there's one Warrenshaw north of us, and those are the 2 closest farms. So there's 3 of us in like a 30-minute area. Who are the main players in the U.S. for robots? Lately in De La Valve. Gia, a lot of them, they didn't support their older products and whatnot. They got some rotaries kicking around. I know in New York, they put the 72 cow in and stuff like that. Favorite tractor build? I don't know. I got to keep thinking about that. Has Frank ever sold any Grieve leaves to you? No, he hasn't. And going back to Frank's comment, Frank's supposed to get the oil puller out. He's finishing it. Are you an electrician? No, I hate wiring. Can you talk more about some of the grants that you've got for yourself or looking at in the videos? I would love to get in. So you need 5-year leases to be able to get grants usually. No-till drill. I would love to get into that. A lot of friends have picked up no-till drills. As the farm, we've done like soil and water, silo grants, manure separators, pasture, things like that. But there's grants for planters. There's grants for no-till drills. Not so much tillage equipment. But if you don't use it, then somebody else is going to use it. Yeah. What was your first tractor? 7520. That was the first tractor I ever bought. Is there organic in your farming in your area? Yes, for vegetables. We actually farm next to, I think they're the biggest organic guys in Massachusetts. How do the police treat farmers? Usually pretty good. We're all friends with all of them in town. Where does your milk go? Answered that. Agrimark. So the Cabot and McAdam cheese we actually own. How many farms do you have? how many farms do you have robots in the U.S.? There is a number, and I'm not actually sure. So in the Northeast, I got 24 robots on 7 farms in where I am, and we have 2 more to go in, and a lot of big interest of like big farms. Zip ties treating me, yeah. Don't cut them with your hand. There's a lot of no-till in York, PA. Yes, you get into like at Vermont, they're big into grants for no-till. Pennsylvania, Maryland, and it's all water quality. So cover cropping, things like that. Let's see. How much does an automatic milker cost? 200 installed probably. And that's a lot of money, but when you start actually penciling things out, it's labor's a lot of money. So what's the worst thing about owning a chopper? Breakdowns, stress. So it's all part of my puzzle of life. Let's see. Yes, we have robots in New Hampshire, single unit barn in Farmington. Good people. We have another barn that's supposed to go in New Hampshire, and there is some interest in a few other places in New Hampshire that really wanted robots. So New Hampshire is pretty much because I live north. The shop is actually down in southern Connecticut. Yeah. Manage your time on the farm and with your dad's business. We have time cards, and when I'm doing custom stuff, I'm still working for the farm, but it's discounted of what I'm actually charging him. Yeah, let's see. I've been to North Dakota too. Somebody said that. Worked with a Hutterite colony outside of Fargo. Is that North Dakota or South? How long does it take to train a cow in a milking robot? So when we do startup, it's like 4 or 5 days, and the cows really got it. It's the people that take a long time, like 6 months. It used to be when I first started, people a year in, they were either things were clicking, things were good, or they were unhappy because they never accepted and had to go. Are you happy with how your channel is going? Any downsides? No, I love it. I absolutely love it. The amount of people that I meet and that I talk to because of the channel is wild. Yeah, okay, Andy's got it. Worst thing about owning a chopper is dealing with truck drivers. I'll agree that's pretty bad too. I get lucky. I have friends that are in New York that actually come out and drive truck for me during corn, or they run chopper, and I don't have to do much. So I'm working on truck drivers. I need some like retired truck drivers to come run for me, and that will be a lot better. Claremont, New Hampshire. Yes, you've seen us in Claremont, New Hampshire. So that's one place. What Fendt would you get? A 724. So 240 horsepower, good with a front mower, good tillage tractor, but not too big. How many cows would one robot milker take before 2 would be needed? We milk 72 cows on one robot, and then we added to the other one, and then we bucket milk cows in between to take some stress off of it. It goes back to how much milk you want to actually make in a day. New Zealand, when I was there, I witnessed 120 cows on one robot, but they only milked them 1.7 times a day, and they were on pasture, so they walked like 5 miles both ways. So that made a big difference of where it is. If you can swing it to start up, I would milk 50 cows a robot. You'd have your best probably return on feed and the cows actually producing. But it also, you want to maximize farm credit, and the credit services will tell you got to run everything 24 hours a day to maximize this and that. If you have some idle time when you first start, it makes it way, way, way better. Yeah, so I would definitely start with less cows on it. So what else we got going on here? Low yielders and your return count, Gia is 50. Yeah, at the end of the day, with robots, the goal. So when we first started with robots, it was 4,000 pounds a day out of a robot. Then it went to 4,500. Now it's 5,000 pounds out of a robot. Is what you want to do for an average. And we have farms that are at 6,000, 6,500, stuff like that. How hard was it to train Yanko? He just followed me around when he was younger, and he did what he wanted. Explain the difference in Australia and New Zealand dairies are. A lot of grazing. Where I was, they were milking 12,000 cows on 9 sites, between 9 sites. So putting up barns was a big difference. Feed quality, you no longer had cows grazing. They had some cows that were winter milking in barns, but then they were grazing on the summer. Common problems with robots. People usually they press something or something comes off or they're not paying attention. The robots usually do what they're supposed to, and if they don't, we can usually quickly figure out what's going on with them. But if people make mistakes or leave a gate in the way and it doesn't melt for 3 hours and it alarms them and they sleep through their alarms and then they go out and they're like, my robot didn't work all night. It was the person that did it. If you could graze, would you? No. Grazing, at least in the Northeast, usually turns into a mud pit. It's either too dry or it's a mud pit. There's very few times that it's actually good. We graze our dry cows, but they have a little too much ground, and we mow some. Would like to see more videos with family and friends. Some of my sister wants to actually tell the stories of life, but she doesn't actually work on the farms. And friends, yeah, Andy's there. We've seen Kevin, we've seen Frank, stuff like that. How can you start talking about how the farm started? Second generation farmer. My father grew up being a General Electric kid, so he traveled all over the world, lived in Europe for a while. He went to like Purdue. He graduated from Minnesota with a degree in agricultural economics. And then he decided to move east and worked for a vet. And then he milked like 20 cows in New Hampshire, rented 2 farms in New Hampshire, between 2 different ones. Neither were very, very good places to farm. Hillsides, lack of water, stuff like that. So then this came up for an opportunity 35 years ago. And he moved down here and went farming and slowly grew into where we're at today. So, like I said, we have a closed herd. What else we got? 4-H? No, there is a 4-H ground, but it's not like it's anything big. Do you know the Gladstone farm in the Connecticut Valley? Yes, me and Matt Gladstone actually were housemates. I was in his wedding. Really, really good people. Nice soil, good herd of cows. Awesome people. Do you like your R model Mac? Yes, every farm should have an R model Mac. That was the truck that started it off of me actually like buying a lot of stuff and continuing on. How wide does your fertilizer spreader spread? I'm not sure if it's like 40, 45 foot. Did you get a tetanus shot? We'll say yes. I have a nurse friend. She told me I have to go get a tetanus shot. I agree. Favorite foods, Mexican, a P.O. box so we can send Yanko stuff. We could make that happen. Yes, I've been to Vermont. We don't own any land. 0. We could never justify owning any of this land. I think most land that usually goes up for sale is $250,000 an acre, usually what it works out to be. So you could never ever justify owning land in this area to go farming. How it works is wealthy people can use agriculture to get a lower tax bracket for that land. So it keeps open space and it keeps development from happening on some of the bigger areas. So yeah, we could never. I think the state park sold for $3 million in the 70s. It would. I wouldn't even $100 million now probably if somebody was going to go try to buy it. I've been to Washington. I worked with farms in Washington, out in Oregon and Washington. What's the cheese people out there now? Somebody will know. Yeah, worked with a few farms actually out there. What are your hopes for the yields of corn? So last year we averaged 15 ton because it never rained. Tillamook, yeah. I worked with farms in Tillamook. Somebody put that up there, which is an awesome place. Like, it's crazy out there. A lot of people put Tillamook. I forget where I was here. So if I could average 22, 23, I'd be pretty happy on return of what I actually have in it. We don't have the ground that, like the Connecticut River guys that can get 30-ton corn. Do I service any of the equipment in Claremont? No, because it's parlors. Maybe at some point. We'll see. Will I ever get a Ford? Probably not. I like my pickup, even though it's in pieces right now. Matt Janis, #1 fan. Appreciate it. Do you plan on going and seeing other farms soon? Yes. Like I said, we're going to go on a trip, and I got some plans in Michigan on some really big, impressive dairies to go actually see that. Royal Dairy? No, I haven't worked with them. I know that name for some reason, though. Knoxland Farm. That's my cousin's nephew's farm. I've been there. Yes, I've been to there. Keep living in the area. My pickup is taking a while. So the machine shop actually destroyed an $800 drill bit, carbon drill bit, because they didn't have it running fast enough, and the crankshaft took a while. So I have the full motor. I just got to start putting it together. If you were buying a new semi, what would you buy? I'd buy an older semi. I'd like another R model. Double frame, like 44 rears, 350. Something I could go across the country and would be cool. I've been all over Vermont, so everywhere, all the way up to the Northeast Kingdom. My pickup, the engine will probably make 800, but it will be good to like 12, or good to 1,000 to 1,200. Places. Like I said, farming, if you're new and you're trying to get into it, learn from experience. Absolutely learn from experience. Yes, no DEF. I'm not a big fan of DEF. DEF fluid, diesel exhaust fluid. So not a big fan at all with that. Older tractors, love older tractors. You can work on them. I wouldn't buy, like our 6155M. It's an okay tractor, but it's literally a 70. It's literally a 7330 or something like that with exhaust fluid. Yeah, the exhaust side of it messes it all up. There's a lot of things on the list to actually purchase, so lots. And yes, there's R models for sale everywhere. It's just my bank account tells me I can't just keep buying R models. What else we got? Will you cultivate now that you have used one in corn? Yes, and you guys will see in future videos of what's going to go on with that. Big believer in cultivating, and I think putting liquid to it will be better. I got to plant it better, but there's some ground that I think I can farm that I could pick up because I'm cultivating it instead. Yes, Royal Dairy is one of the biggest in Washington, 6,000 cows. My buddy Nick Snyder, Custom Chops in Washington. They got 2 choppers, three choppers maybe. What about a new mower? I'm waiting on the farm. That's it. Yes, I've heard of Eddie McLaughlin. He's actually from Connecticut. He's one of our farms that we work with in New Hampshire. He runs a pretty nice place. R models, my red truck is an R model. There's a lot of R models all the way up through, like there's RUs and Rs and RBs and RDs. But it's kind of the cab shape and how it is. How far do you travel for your ag inputs? Fertilizer, seed, chemical. So we went to the fertilizer plant. That's an hour and a half away. Since I've set the tender up, that's the only time I've been there this year, and it was for the K-Mag. Why not use trucks, not tractors? We use trucks instead of tractors. I would love tractors. They go places a lot better, but they need to be fast. So fertilizer comes from Caravel, hour and a half. Seed comes from Lipton's, which we did a video there in Connecticut, but most of it gets shipped. But we're in an area where we don't have seed salesmen coming in and trying to get our business, trying to work with it. Which sometimes it's nice, but at the same time, like we told people we wanted to buy a tractor and nobody came and said, hey, this is a tractor, this is that. Did you purchase that corn cultivator you were using? Nope, that's Frank's. I got to bring it back. I probably could purchase it, but it's a 6-row that I made into a 4-row. So it doesn't really justify it. Definitely a good time. Upstate New York, milking 650 double herringbone, D Laval, calf feeder, 60 calves. Big believer in the calf feeders, but you got to have somebody that actually manages good. Yeah, I do watch Mike Mitchell. I've said that before. Maybe a cultivator purchase soon. Maybe. We'll see. So somebody did say the other thing I'm picking up, which I was pretty impressed that they guessed it because I haven't said anything about it. California Ag Expo. I've never been. I'd really like to actually go out there. I'd like to run some equipment out there because there's some cool people that I know. Definitely a place I want to go. Are you coming up to the Thumb? Yes, we'll be up in the Thumb. Some big dairies that I got planned that I'm good friends with. So, here's a question. New equipment, should it be fully functioning or do you expect there will be flaws and plan accordingly? New stuff breaks. It absolutely does. I had a friend that has 3 mower setups in central New York, and they're all brand new. And he said everything was broken the other day, and it was random stuff like smashed out windshield, mower gearbox failed, and these are guys that custom chop, and everything was broken and it was new. I did get a new hub for the tractor. Don't worry about that. Do you have to register your tractors? No. Technically, we're supposed to run farm plates after distance. I think it's 10, 15 miles that we don't actually have to run farm plates on anything, even including trucks. We run them on the trucks just because we don't want to get stopped, hassled, and most cops don't know the actual laws. Granted, farm plates allow us to basically be legal outlaws at the same time because we don't have a width permit in Massachusetts. So it definitely helps us there. Yeah. You could add 2 more folding rows or more to that 4-row. I know, but we can do it. Mike P7810. Yes, I've watched his stuff. How long you been farming? My whole life. I would like a John Deere 7530 Euro spec, which is like the new style. Finding a good one is challenging, and if I do, I'll probably import it from Europe because they just take better care of their stuff. Anhydrous, ammonium. There's some in Western New York, but then it's not a thing that is actually available. Like I don't know where I would get it, but when we visited W.I. Miller's, they were big anhydrous guys. They did it custom. They did a lot of it. So apps. I will never get to that point because we're not set up the structures there. GPS in the future, yes, I would like to make that happen. I think we'd make a lot better. I'm 30 years old. Do you only like John Deere? No, I like Fence. I like Magnums. I don't see myself buying a 60 series. Do you use GPS in your tractors? No, the 6155 could be set up for GPS, and I think that's going to be the best thing for the future. A big Deere, like the 8000 series articulates. I used to run an 8430 for my buddy in New York. We used to get done with class and I go haul manure. It was a love-hate relationship on it. I wouldn't get one over the. If I was going to go bigger, it would be a 9000 because they're bigger, but they're not that much better than a 7520 as far as what you can do with them. So if I was going to get a big articulate, a newer one, it would be a power shift. Yanko's sleeping over there. Hey, what are you doing? He might come over. If you get a corn planter, get a 7200. The big thing is I need it to fold up to 4 rows, so either a front fold. You want to come here? No? Okay. I guess he's... Oh, an 8230. 8230 is a good tractor. Miller Farm in Connecticut. Is Fairview Miller? I think so, right? Yeah, give a thumbs up. Could go with a 9RX. I did see that. Sloan had a 9RX on, I don't know if it was a 24-row cultivator. Probably should just drop the $500,000 and pick it up. The bicycles need laws in Massachusetts. Yeah, they're pretty much lawless. They just do whatever they want. Absolutely do whatever. Garbage truck chassis and turn them into chopper haulers. Yes, the flat nose, and usually they're full locks. Some of them are automatics. I agree that's really, really, really cool. And I have a lot of friends that have that. I think that would be nice. I don't think you get the ride out of it, but it would be awesome. What farms do you know up here in Ontario, Canada? Trying to think. My buddy Kevin works for the biggest chicken grower in Canada. And I don't know the name of it. He's the crop manager. I think they're at like 15,000 acres. And then I have a bunch of friends that I've just met over the years. I actually used to vacation in Ontario outside of Woodstock. Canada's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Farms are all beautiful. Quota is a big difference. Out of all the states in New England, what state would you choose to farm? Connecticut has probably the best for dairy farming. There's a lot of support. There's a lot of really good ground. Definitely a big thing of it. Do you collect 1/16 scale tractors? Not really. I've been slowly buying stuff that I have. I got a few things. What was your first truck? I had a 91 Chevy dually with a 454. It never had a sticker, but I drove it to school. So I had that for a while. I do watch 10th Generational Dairy Farmer. Yes, I live in the United States, 20 miles outside of Boston. 7200 front fold that keeps 6 and folds up to a 4-row. By the way, it's a 12-row. I think a 12-row would be too big without shutoffs on each row to really do it. So I think we'd have way too much overlapping. Yes, I put a lot of hours in the winter with my dealer valve job. I had a few weeks that I'm salary, get paid for 40 hours, and I had a few weeks that were like 100, 110. So that's why it made it up that I could go. Know anybody from Wisconsin? Yes. Quite a few people in Wisconsin. Actually, my good friend milks with robots in Wisconsin, and I used to go out and visit him a lot. Almost moved to Wisconsin when I worked for De La Valve outside of Madison. Yeah. Let's see. Norway. I appreciate everybody watching and commenting. That guy get the junk out of the field? No, we settled it. We absolutely settled it, so I don't know who that person is. They shouldn't be commenting. Can you delete people? Report. Hey, you can. Yeah, I don't know. Kip Stagger. Yes, I watch his stuff. Um, yeah, I figured out how to do it now. So I don't know Hig Farms in Wisconsin. Um, yeah, Connecticut definitely has more support than other states. Um, but it's a struggle to farm in the Northeast either way, or dairy farming. We don't have crop farmers, things like that. 3-point stack folder planter. I don't think Frank has a 12 row that folds up. You don't see many stack folder planters around here, so that makes it a little more interesting. I think there's 2 dairy farms in Alaska left. Actually, the person that just put that. Uh, yeah, yeah. So when I worked for De La Valve, I worked up by Green Bay. I forget, up by Oshkosh, stuff like that. I worked with some farms there, and then I worked on the other side of the state. There's quite a lot of robots in Wisconsin, and there's a lot of robots all around. When's your giggly friend coming back? Brittany and me are just friends. She is married. Um, we lived together in college and whatnot, so don't worry about that. Vermont is the biggest ag state in New England, but they have like farms such as Gladstone's 1,400 cow farms. There's a lot in Addison. You get St. Pierre's. Trying to think, there's a bunch up north. Um, will there be further live streams? I really don't know. You guys tell me. We're at an hour right now, and I didn't even realize that. Um, would you want a John Deere 40 or 50, 55, or 60 series? I'm a big fan of not having the stack in front of your face. But with that being said, those are all really, really good ones. So I appreciate everybody who watches the channel who's not a farmer. It's definitely unique as far as this, but I have farmers that watch it and they're like, you farm in a different situation. John Deere 4955, that's a good tractor. A 4555, I always like the long look of the hood. Yeah, we'll see if I do more live stream. If I got GPS in a tractor, I could live stream all the time and we could see what goes on. My brother doesn't work on the farm at all. Actually, he does landscape. He has a crew of guys that work for him. Have you ever met New York farm girls from YouTube? No, my buddies went to school with the one, and the other guy works for the farm I was saying that had stuff break down. Traveling distance as far as going outside of where we are, it becomes inefficient, cost effective that way, and then I'm either stomping on people I know's ground, or other people's ground. So there's ground available around. It's just getting in with the right people, and showing the landlord that it's worth them to have it in agriculture. Since I know of like 100, 150 acres that just sits around, but I've been trying to get in, and either the people say, "Oh, not right now," this or that, which makes it a little more challenging. Laura Farms does have some really, really nice equipment. Yeah. Put Cameron Yanko chasing geese. I've been really close to buying him a harness. I feel like he'd probably take it off and like leave it somewhere. Yes, I know 60 Series has it. Have you ever owned a Toyota? No. When I was in New Zealand, though, I drove a Hilux, which if they sold them in the U.S., I'd probably buy one. Do you watch Cole the Cornstar? Yep, sure do. Who do you work for now? Not De La Valve. I work for Hanfield Dairy Equipment. Is my deal? They're the De La Valve dealership. Won't be buying any more fields. I'm looking to grow and lease more fields for sure. An 8960 with a grouser blade would be too much tractor for me. How about a WA14? I probably wouldn't run it. I would feel, what do they make, 27 of them? Or 18, something like that. So I would definitely feel bad about running it. Yeah, go through to them. I appreciate everybody that recommends it. What's up with your pickup? Yeah, I got the motor. We're gonna put it back in this week, hopefully. Trying to read these comments and see. That's why I'm just awkwardly staring into it. Yes, the deer that eat corn would be good in the freezer. Problem is there's a lot of houses and things like that, and people pick up. Yes, Hilux are absolutely hands down probably the best pickups for farms. Absolutely awesome. Yes, Yanko's name is from Don Yanko, who built Camaros in the 60s and early 70s. Very few people pick that up. How farms work? Yep. Fun with the live stream, Yanko for life. It doesn't really, land doesn't really come up for rent. It's either like somebody stops doing it. We picked up some ground this year for the farm that people just, they stopped, and the landowners called us and said, hey, we have this field. There's not a lot of younger agriculture people that want to go farming. There's plenty of like, hey, we farm half an acre in somebody's backyard and we're doing a CSA, things like that. That's popping up. But these fields that are 10 acres for people to pick them up, it's usually us. I wouldn't buy a New Holland. There's just not the support. I have friends that like their New Hollands, but the dealership is close. If I bought a new tractor, it's going to be a Fendt. Like anything 2010 and newer, it's going to be a Fendt because of the support of weavers. I could show you some places to look for equipment. I'm always looking for equipment. Convert the second chopper into a mower. I've thought about that. There's a few people that I know that have self-propelled choppers. Usually the ride is absolutely horrible. The chopper only goes 16 miles an hour. So if I put a set of butterflies on the front, really wouldn't make it any better. There's not that much comfort. Am I going to get any demos or get any sponsorships? It would be cool. I'd be all about demoing some people's stuff. Yeah. How much do you pay for rent an acre? So I personally am the only one that pays for rent, due to how it works out. Me chasing my own ground, that's how it happened. $25 an acre or something like that. It's nothing that you can. That's the set price of the landlords of the U.S. government. You pay the same thing here or in Pennsylvania around Gettysburg. They're the same landowners. Yeah. Yeah, Yanko is the Mad Max dog. So I don't know if I'll ever get people that want to demo stuff with me. Because like the dealers I work with are 5 hours away. So we'll see. Do you watch Sunny Farms, Fast Ag? Yep. That's all wicked good stuff. Speaking of weavers, might get a Fendt from them for the fair again this year. I absolutely believe it's awesome. Get Brittany company to sponsor you. There is people that work at Binkley and Hurst that sponsor or that watch the video. I told her she should just. So they have an 8-row Kinsey lift and rotate, kind of set up liquid. What I'd like, it's only $43,000. So I told her she should just let me borrow it for a year. Yep, watch it, Welkers. Yeah, there's a lot of bad dealers in the Northeast, definitely. So there's some comments there. I'll just leave it as that. Frank, as far as red tractors for support, it's either Huber's in Pennsylvania or Salem. They actually brought one of their Magnums out to Salem and never unloaded it from the truck, recalibrated one of the sensors for the 3-point hitch, and it was like $130 and trucked it home. It was actually awesome. Favorite beer, Angry Orchard. I don't drink beer, I drink cider. Will I buy a case? Maybe if I found a cool Magnum. Biggest challenge, 7520, the biggest challenge you have repairing it. You're comparing is the 7520. It's definitely the biggest thing that's ever fought me because when the transmission had issues, it was always something different. So when I put the new transmission in, I did everything that had failed me prior. Angry Orchards with Fireball. Yep, absolutely. Or tequila. Tequila is pretty good too. Champlain has case. Yes, they do. Would you want to model a tractor? No, not really. It's not really. Like if I'm going to have a collection of tractors, I'd like to actually work them. But we'll see. Farm with ticks on the cows. I don't think the ticks on the cows actually. I've seen them on like aggressive pasture. It's usually in the woods where they get ticks. So our cows usually don't have them. Yanko hasn't had ticks in like a week now. I haven't found anything on him. Watch One Lonely Farmer. Yep, I like his truth and straight to the point. Kind of no bullshit. Is there advantage of focusing on a single brand tractor? If you have ones that are in close in spectrum or in years as far, then you actually, a lot of it's similar. But usually if you're a red guy, you're a red guy. If you're a green guy, you're a green guy. I don't know. I don't think there's, for me, definitely there's a lot of similarities between a lot of stuff. But I've always been a Deere guy. And we used to have a fairly okay dealership as far as Deere that supported some stuff. The 7520, I'm going to be on my own unless I went out west. The dealership does make the biggest thing. And that's why in Connecticut, you see more and more fence and closses because of weavers. I don't watch Weston truck and tractor repair. Should I? Yeah. But I don't know. I'll probably end up buying a red tractor at some point. Crops that grow up north. So for us, we only grow. Let's see. We only grow grass, corn silage, and maybe a cover crop. But there's tobacco, there's soybeans, there's potatoes, a lot of veggies in the valley, stuff like that. The manure tank's not getting that full. We did haul some out there. An A would make a good cultivating tractor, but I also have to drive it 14 miles. What's your favorite movie? Probably Dazed and Confused. Big car fan. Yeah, 60s and 70s would have been cool years to grow up in. I heard you're setting up Bristol County Ag with a milking system. My son just finished his freshman year. Yep, delivered it last week. Pretty excited for that. So we have University of Connecticut as one of our farms, and then now we'll have Bristol County Ag, and that will. I'm excited for that whole campus. That's all new. Like, there's a lot of drive there, and it's cool. I like the people that work there. Can you grow sweet corn? Yep, we used to grow sweet corn. We just ran out of ground. And like years like last year, I think it was last year, you could buy sweet corn cheaper than you could grow it. This year, it's worth the money. How much have your channels grown since you started the videos? Daily videos? It's been crazy. Like there are some days where it was 150 people subscribed, 160. And you got to think, my first year and a half of making videos, I'd get like 2 subscribers in a day, and I was pumped. Working in tobacco, I've heard it's very challenging because you basically get nicotine high if you're not used to it. Up here, it's the cigars, the outside of cigars that they actually grow. But I have friends that grow for U.S. smokeless tobacco, and it's all contracted if I remember right. So there's good money in it. I'll have to watch that Western Truck and Tractor Repair. Ag schools. I went to SUNY Cobleskill. I really enjoyed it. I think a lot of teachers that I had are gone now. I think the out west ag schools are more big ag related, which would be cool. You catch up on your hours of your job. Yeah, I catch up. I catch up pretty quickly on them. What size Fendt would you be interested in purchasing? A 724, I think, would be ideal for me. Do you edit your own videos? Yes, I do, and I got good at it, much better. So I bought a faster computer, and if you edit videos every day, it actually gets really, really good to edit it. When were you in school? Graduated in 14. I got a degree in ag, bachelor's, associates in ag engineering, and a degree and a bachelor's in ag business management. Graduated in 14, and then went on my internship to New Zealand. America's Dairyland, Wisconsin. Yeah, Wisconsin's dairy world. So probably if you want to do dairy and get educated, Madison. Is Plattsville dairy too? I know Plattsville is a fun town for partying, but I don't know. But yeah, graduated 14. Would you hire a cameraman? I don't think so. I think that would take the best part of it out of it, like being one-on-one. What I use to edit it, Premiere Pro. I do watch Larson's Farms. Yes, we use robots. We've had robots at home farm. The first one, 11 years now. The second one, just over 3. How much time do you spend editing videos? It used to be like 3 hours a video. Now, if I'm like focused, hour, 45 minutes. It depends how much I break it up and things like that. But yeah, somebody said Plattsville and River Falls in Wisconsin for ag. Killer ag programs. Yep, I absolutely believe that. Dream muscle car, Yanko Camaro. I got the dog a lot cheaper. I never owned a Dodge. Yeah. Wisconsin definitely has a lot of ag in it, but there's a lot of dairies. There was like 7 or 8 valve dealers that could sell robots in Wisconsin. Like they have more cows in usually like 10-mile radius than we have in our whole 3-hour radius. What are the bags on the wagon? That's all the composted cow manure in the red bags. So we bag it and sell it that way. Convert our old barn into a shop or machinery storage. Structurally, I don't think you could because there's beams running down the middle of it. I'd like to. I definitely, but I think, yeah, that's not going to happen. Would you like a Mack Superliner truck? Yeah, someday. I like the look of them. Yanko would love me more than buying a car. So, yes, I've heard on my motor. I have it in the back of my work van. I got to put it in this week. That was very sad that what went on at Larson's as well. They're great people. So very awesome and really work hard and show what goes on in the world. Yeah, it's very different. Like Wisconsin, I love going to Wisconsin, and you like pull in and you got Culvers and they have all their barns and it's Culvers thanks the farmers and it's all support of ag. Where yeah, you go to other places and people are like, there's dairy farms in Massachusetts. It's totally different. Explain the composting. So we age our manure, and we actually mix a little bit of bedding in because horse manure has too much bedding and cow manure doesn't have enough. So it's aged, it's rotated for a year, and then we screen it. So it's odorless and it's absolutely amazing for gardens, which we sell a lot of it. Yeah, if Culver's wants to sponsor me, I would be all about it. But whoever had Culver's for dinner, I'm pretty jealous. I got to figure that out. Is the lease agreement with your father agreement your father has with the state one of a kind? Not really. The state owns a lot of property. Like they own the parking lot at MIT in Boston. They own the parking lot at the Museum of Science, I think, and it's all like it's definitely different, but they own a lot. They do a lot of that agreements. Massachusetts owns a lot of park ground, but they know because otherwise it's going to be built on it and it's not going to be there any longer. Culver's is expanding in the western states. Yes. And they're also, my sister just got back from Georgia and she said there was one in Georgia, which I guess there's more than probably one. I actually surprised that. Are you a good cook? I actually love cooking. So yeah, I actually do it. I don't do it enough because usually pretty busy. In spring, it was a lot of eating out. Appreciate you guys subscribing. Compost just out of the heifer barn, or do you do liquid too? We have a separator that we can pull the solids out. We're not set up as well as it should be, and I got some ideas for the future if we need more. But most of it's our heifer manure. But we do have a stockpile that we have ran through this separator, solid separator, and then gone from there. Rule of thumb, you never go past more than 3 culvers. I agree with that. So, what was one thing in New Zealand farming wise way different than us in the US that surprised you? Everybody supported agriculture. Absolutely everybody. It was all agricultural based. That and logging. You'd go into the cities, it was billboards about farming, it was on the radio about farming. It was just 100% agricultural support throughout communities, which was crazy. When you were driving a tractor, like the main roads, we'd run up the main roads and stuff. Your hand would just be up waving to every car because every car that passed you would wave to you. So it's crazy about how many cows and how much agriculture is in New Zealand. Anybody who gets a chance to go there, I highly recommend it. Breakfast sandwich the other day. Yeah, Ferns is really good. I made one myself this morning. It was pretty good. Yanko's a blue healer is 6. Ever considered a digester? Yeah. I'm trying to think of how to say this without making. I have a lot of friends that have digesters, and they some of them work, some of them not so much. And usually you're taking somebody else's waste. And I don't know if you ever get ahead because at the end of the day, yes, you get paid to take their waste, but then you got to pay to remove it. And a lot of these digester guys get to a point where they can't remove it themselves if they were, and they have to pay somebody to remove that anyways. I don't think a digester in Europe where they're actually doing things right and they're feeding them with actual crops and they're more specific. I think they work a lot better than the U.S. But I've heard way too many horror stories. There's some digesters. I have farms I work with that have digesters. And usually the first few years are absolute horror stories. And most people won't tell you that until they actually get into it. But there is people that it's worked. Like in Vermont, they have Moo Power. I think it's Moo Power, Green Power or something. And they get paid a higher percentage on that electricity than average electricity, so it benefits a lot more. Yeah, what model fence? 724, I think, would be awesome. Yes, Platteville is a very, very fun town. My friend lived right there. They have like the annex, and you can get trying to think. There's a Mexican place. There's annex, and you can get Long Island iced teas, and they got like 15 different flavors. Yeah, you only want to get like one of those. Yanko's favorite toy, a squeaky ball. He'll play forever. Does the farm work with trim cows? We hire in twice a year our hoof trimmer to actually come in. I think that's what it's meaning. Yeah, there's some. Are you planning on getting a new planter for next year? I'd like to find an 8-row. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, it's up in the air. Green Mountain Power, but I think it's Moo Power is the actual name of the piece or the program in between it. There's like 11 digesters or 13 digesters. Massachusetts is an interesting place to live for sure. There's a lot of people that are very opinionated and confused. We'll go with that. House tour, I don't really, there's not much in here. Maybe someday. Using cow slurry to only, you gotta milk a lot of cows. I saw a digester blow up. It got hit by lightning out in Dakotas 2 weeks ago, and it blew up, which that was looked like a nuclear bomb going off. Is solar panel companies competing land? Yeah. None of our land because people don't want to look at it. But I see a lot of agricultural land that goes to solar panels. And they pay really, really good, but you don't know at year 20 when the contract comes up and the panels are junk, what's going to go on. And it's never going to go back to it. Sorry, somebody said don't tell people to go to Wisconsin. I enjoy Wisconsin, though. Yeah, I know. Don't want to be Nashville. Nashville's a fun town, too, though. If you don't continue farming, what would you like to do? I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. My Duramax is a 2016. Yeah, it's going to be a built motor, built transmission. It's a fun. It tows the trailer really, really nice. It's good for road trips. North Carolina. Never been to North Carolina. Confused in Mass? Yes, they're very confused. Yeah, thumbs up. Merchandise. Yes. Like I said, I got a guy that's going to do merchandise. He's doing artwork, and the artwork that he does is absolutely fantastic. I know he's been through a lot of things. I think family-wise and stuff like that over the last 6 months. But I gave him a deposit, and he has talked to me. And he was hoping it was going to be done next or last month. But yeah, when he's done with it, I'm going to be pumped. And I wanted to make apparel for the guys that help me out and things like that. But I think it's going to be to the point where it's going to be really nice shirts, cool to have. And like I got a Lewis Farm shirt on right now, and they got their pulling tractor on the back and stuff like that. People like that stuff. It's cool. Solar on the cranberry bog, they couldn't do that. They asked about that, but they had to put a fence up around it, and you can't fence in public land. So they weren't able to do that. Put Yanko on a shirt. I bet it would. People have said that. Vintage tractor pull. I want it. I got a lot of friends that do. I've never actually gone tractor pulling. Colburn, who hangs out, he's got a 4520. Ooh, if I get this wrong, he's going to. He got first place in 2 classes today. They were pulling in New York. Yes, they're called mass holes in Massachusetts for a reason. Do a burnout with the 7520. The tires are pretty expensive. Inflation impact agriculture at this point? Yes. Fertilizer has gone double, which is ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So that is probably, we didn't see seed because we bought most of our seed in the spring, but fertilizer is double of what last year was. Milk's still the same price. So at the end of the day, would you own a 4440? I would love to have a 4440. That would be, they're just iconic tractors. Wife and kids future plans, yeah, someday we'll see what goes on. Plans for an international, nope. Farm had an 886, I think it was, and I remember bouncing around in it when I was little once, like hitting my head off the window because, well, international cabs are just confused. And yeah, it had all sorts of transmission issues. The most I remember it was sitting around doing nothing, broken, more broken than most of my stuff. Shirt, hi, I'm Yanko, and peel out on the grass after geese. He's all about that. Here, this is what he's doing right now. Hey, okay, he's asleep. So that's what he's doing. Has John Deere ever tried to sponsor you? No, I don't know if they ever would. It seems like other companies are much more aggressive. I know, like with Millennial Farmer, but Tillage Man Sam works for John Deere, so it definitely makes it a little different. David Brown, no, I got buddies who have it. Oh, my truck, the International. Yeah, I love the app. I love the International. Got that last fall. Bought it sight unseen out of Ohio. That was a good buy. Really, really good buy. Yep, Deere skid steer is fixed. Had wires that were messed up. Fixed that the other day. Did you fix the air horns on the International? Yes. Well, it got stuck and we played with it. Would you like a quad track? Too much tractor for me. Just you couldn't get it anywhere. Is the fertilizer tender your best recent purchase? Definitely sped things up. I guess it's the last thing I set up. So as far as my last purchases, best thing that I probably did was setting up a semi. Definitely made it way more efficient. Yeah, just hauling manure with a semi compared to a straight truck, game changer. Says that in quotes. Yep. Duggo Cleaning, they have a hell of a shop. If I had a shop like that, I'd probably be way cleaner. The problem is in our shop, like my pickup breaks, and then I got a whole pile of pickup parts, and then working on the excavator, and then I got a whole pile of excavator parts, and I just don't have the room, so then it becomes piled all on. Lowboy was a good buy. Well, the step deck, I'd like an actual lowboy. It's definitely, it was cheap enough. Worst purchase ever. I don't know. I made every purchase pretty, like I made it all work because I haven't resold anything or got rid of it. I'll have to think on that. What's your dream corn planter that you'd like? Wouldn't it be overkill, but perfect for you? 8-row, electric drive, 2x2 fertilizer, liquid with hydraulic downforce. That would be my dream planter, Kenzie. We'll see if that actually goes. What kind of engine is in the Kloss chopper? It is a V8 421 Mercedes twin turbo. I guess they put them in tanks. Do you add urea to your corn silage? Like when we spread it on as fertilizer, if that's what you're asking. Hello from Ireland. Appreciate it. Tank before it rains. Got the diesel in the tank before it rains. Or in the truck, if that's what you're saying. Yeah, I do need to do that. Did you ever try the winch on the step deck? No, I haven't, and I kind of forgot about that. So that was a good thing. Yeah, Duggo would have a panic attack in our shop. Once I get my pickup out, I can actually clean things. That thing's taken up way too much. Would you buy an F-350 like Whistling Diesel? No. I do like watching Whistling Diesel, though. Forget who told me it the other day. They're like, why would you watch that? And then they watched it, and they're like, you can't not watch it. Plastic pipe thread, blue monster tape. You're talking on the sprayer trailer? Yeah. We'll set it up different. How often do you get sent to Wisconsin for robot training? I've only actually been robot training once, but I used to fly into Wisconsin every like 6 weeks or so back in the day. Does your engine return? I don't know why that one's restricted. I don't know. Return springs, piston return springs? No. My engine and my Duramax will be all new. What about the Ackerman's engine? I have all the parts except for oil cooler. We got to figure out if that's actually 100% an issue. So, no, we don't put urea on the silage when we chop it. We put inoculant on it that actually breaks it down. Finger Lakes, New York, great place. I do have some people that I got to go visit there that dragline manure. Advice for growing hay and selling bales for horses or cows. Way different aspect if you're growing it for horses or for cows. Cow people want, like dairy cow people, they want a fact sheet, an analysis on it. They want high dollar stuff or high feed quality. Horse people are just picky. They could care less how good it is, but they're just picky with it. So do you need a commercial driver license to drive drive that international trucks? No. Farm plates in Massachusetts, you don't need a commercial driver's license to drive semis. It is a good thing to have. I don't have it. At some point I should. My father has a CDL which is a commercial driver's license. Never watched Gentry and Sun Trucking. What's your favorite machine on the farm? 7520. Yeah. Running that in tillage, it's so much fun. I do have to go see Walton Manure Management. That's not the one in the Finger Lakes, though. But they're on my list to go hang out and party with and get some footage. I had a big list of people that I was going to go that all moved manure, but R&B is the other one in the Finger Lakes that, they're in the Finger Lakes, Western New York, and Colorado. What part of the country? East Coast, Massachusetts, outside of Boston. You tried fake meat burgers? No, I could not bring myself to that ever. I've had friends that have, and they're like, I like beef so much and like bacon. Yeah, there's a lot of Ackermans. Well, they're based out of it. I have a farm I work with that has an Ackerman that's in Europe. A lot of them in the U.S., they built them too good that the company got bought by Volvo because they just ran and ran and ran. Like they're animals of machine, like the design of it and how much further ahead they are. Granted, ours probably hasn't had the easiest life. Middle of winter, start up and runs, things like that. Hello from Kent, Ohio. You will have no trouble passing a CDL with the roads you're already on. Yeah, you got to do it by the book, though. That's the thing. And I just need time to go do one. Yes, I need to add extensions on the top of the blade of the 7520. And some wings for pushing. 7520 doesn't really. It wiggles. It vibrates some going down the road, but not really that bad. It makes more of a whining in the high range. It rides smoother than any of our other tractors, and I know some of it's the wheelbase, things like that. But you can take it through chisel plowed ground, and it's actually really, really nice. If I didn't farm in the U.S., what country would you farm in? I think Canada would be probably the best place to dairy farm because of quota. Like you can milk 100 cows in Canada and you live a very nice lifestyle. But you're going to milk 100 cows. My other choice would be farming in New Zealand because it's gorgeous, but at the same point, you're relying on export. Like 95% of the milk in New Zealand is exported. So that was, yeah, one of the other. My first buy was the manure pull type manure tank. Do you ever take vacations? Yes, when I go on buying sprees, that's usually the vacations. Whites, cheap horsepower. I got a few buddies that absolutely love them, run a bunch of them. You don't see many in Massachusetts though, but they're definitely cheap, easy to work on horsepower. Roads. The excavator they were built really well. Any luck finding a 116 7520 for those plows? A lot of people have reached out. I just never pulled the trigger on it. What else we got going on here? When are you getting some AC? I bought a compressor. It's sitting in the tractor right now for the 7520. The CDL book in Mass sucks. Yes, it does. It's a lot of but I don't understand how these people that can't drive trucks to begin with pass these CDL tests. I know a lot of them are outside of it. But yeah, the pre-trip, because you're used to just going through your motions, and now all of a sudden you got to change and do it else. If you get a chance to buy an engine for the 3020, try Nelson Parts, Penn Yan. I know of Nelson's. I just don't know if it's worth putting any money into it. Opinion on Fairlife Farms. You mean Mike McCluskey? So Mike and my father are on, I forget which board. They're family farming. It's just a much bigger scale. Absolutely a much bigger scale, but that's what the world has created on it. They do a good job, and what happened in the past was bad, but it was the people that were involved in it that made it bad. It wasn't the owners, it wasn't the actual managers, it wasn't that. It was people that were set up to make things look bad. So, Sketch a Dutch Kid, yes, watch that. Somebody sent me an 8-row link to my Instagram. I'll have to check that out. Know of any Western Mass farms? I work all the way into the valley, so I know that. I got friends up in Williamstown that farm, that do custom farming. What kind of nitrogen do you use? We're putting on urea, which is enriched for top dressing. We put some urea on at the beginning in a pelletized form, and then we put the liquid corn starter in furrow. In furrow, I don't think is as much useful. If we could go 2x2 and we put more on, I think we'd have a much better start. So I'm glad you're enjoying. I got 456 people. It's almost 2 hours, and I don't know what we were doing. How many acres do you have? We farm just 360, 370. Yeah, Southern Ontario. I love Ontario, and I like the Maritimes and everything else. It's really enjoy it. I don't speak French, so when I worked in Quebec, it was a little more interesting because there was farms that I worked with that didn't speak any English. I can do more live streams. So, like I said, I'd like to do it when I'm actually working. I know there's a bunch of farmers that can do it that have. I could do it on the iPad, things like that. Do you watch Alex the Dutch Kid? No, I don't. Would you buy another chopper for the parts you need? Yeah, I have the spare that came out. That came from the Maritimes, and I'm actually friends with the guy now. And I bought it for the gearbox. I'd like another gearbox so that I just have it kicking around. Are you going to buy your own farm or inherit it? That is always the question for the next generation. The older generation never wants to share the thought of the farm leaving them. So that is why I'm building my own, in case for some reason all of a sudden it's like, well, I'm 50 years old and he still hasn't passed the farm on, and who knows what's going on. I have poked at buying my parents out of farming, and they just laughed at me at that point. But we'll see. Go get a cider if you're gonna keep going. I actually have one sitting there. I just haven't drank it. And there was a farm in Ohio this spring that popped up on Facebook, like turnkey, ready to go. And I think they just got out and they retired and it was up. But I don't think leaving my area currently would be a financially good move for the future. Jordan's in Rutland. I know Jordan's. They're good people. I do help them on the parlor there and stuff like that. I watch Brian's farming videos. Yeah, Andy was in here earlier. I don't know if he's still on for farming, fixing, fabrication. He does a really good job with live stream, which is cool. No, when I worked for Dealer Valve, I covered Pennsylvania area. We went. There's 3 dealers that I worked in Pennsylvania with. Now I don't. We stop at New York line due to tax purposes going into New York. You can say hello where the comments go. Don't worry about that. 10th generational farmer. Yep, absolutely. Appreciate you guys watching. I'm not married. I'm single. I got a dog who left me again. He's went back over there. Joe Rogan Experience. No, my brother. Isn't that a podcast? My brother watches that. Do you watch Mac Farms? No. Rick. I'll have to watch some of those. So, trying to think what else we didn't cover. I was just going to run down the line of questions that I came across. What would I do if I could turn back time? Ooh. I don't know. Everything's been a learning experience. I might have stayed in New Zealand longer. It was a beautiful country. I came back because I thought I was going to date some girl. And that was, well, we did date, but how many acres you got planted in corn? 165. Yeah, New York's a little interesting. I'll agree with that. I got a lot of friends that farm in New York, though. Watch Oliver 60 Farm Boy. Barstow's. I know Barstow's. I've never done work with it. Melnick's, we work with them. They do custom chopping. Henry and I talk periodically. Yeah, they do a lot of custom chopping. So field cultivators or diggers? No, we haven't. I don't think they'd work well. We need a lot of our ground has compaction issues, and I think chisel plowing is our bigger chisel plows definitely made a lot of our compaction issues go away this year. When are you getting another R model? Some guy messaged me who I had messaged months ago about an R model that was rough, and he said, "Are you still interested?" The other guy backed out, and it's cheap, but it comes with a spare cab, so you know it's not perfect. Do you live on the farm or off? I live off the farm down the road. Yeah, a lot of people on farms really don't want to get filmed, and I can understand that. When I started this, my family wasn't really into the idea of me filming. They're open in public and things like that, but they just thought it was weird that I walked around with a camera. Still get weird things. On cow breeds, Holsteins, come on. They all have their place, but Jerseys I think are the most efficient. But it takes a different person to work with a whole herd of Jerseys. They're definitely creative people. How about you shoot the goose and we'll stand next to you? Yeah, shooting geese is frowned upon. What else we got? Farm Simulator. I don't really play video games, but yeah, I'll play Farm Simulator if I get the chance. Bales hay. Yep. Follow him. I didn't buy One Lonely Farmer's Mac. That was a sharp Mac. But I like the cheap ones that I can get into cheap and then work up between it. Did you find a difference between sprayed corn and cultivated? I think it's too early to know, and I think there's too many variables because that one field was deficient in K-Mag. But there's definitely a benefit of cultivating it. I think it jumps quicker. So, yeah, I'm a believer in cultivating. Was that your mom helping you the other day? Yep, she did make sure that I didn't drop it off the jack, so she helped that. How much ahead to trim cows in your area? I couldn't even tell you. I've never. They've given the invoice and I just passed it on. Worst injury on the farm. I put a chainsaw in my foot when I was in high school. That was the worst I've had. That was the only time I've ever got stitches. Would you ever think of using Bay State fertilizer? Oh, it's yeah. There was a whole thing. My buddy was trying to get into trucking it to New York or something. We've used biosolids and things like that in the past. Usually it doesn't end up as well. What's your nationality? I think I got Irish and German, I think is the two things. I'm American. What are you thinking for a new corn planter? 8-row something. Got to fold up to be as narrow as a 4-row. I've never resealed an injection pump. Usually send that out. That's usually the best thing. Would you top cover liquid manure? Are you saying like spread it out on the field on standing corn ground? Because that is like the thing that's the dragline guys are big into that now. Yeah, shooting anywhere in mass is definitely frowned upon. Ooh, hidden places, road tripping through. I don't know. I might go, or as far as for food, Mexican's my favorite. There's a lot of really, really good food, like a lot of really good food. So there's too many places to list. Grass that I planted earlier in the spring. The one field is absolutely fire. My other two, I'm not as thrilled with it. I don't think the stand was as good. But it will still be a good field for 4 years or so. Yeah, absolutely. Fall seedings are where they're at. My Instagram, Duffy C91. Bedford House of Beef. Yes. Awesome food. Chicken kebab dinner, extra Greek sauce with a Greek salad with extra Greek sauce. Dump the dressing, dump it on the chicken. Really good. Helena Chemical Company used to buy seed from Andrew Huckowitz at Helena in the Valley. When we bought decob. Is OSHA ever doing inspections? Farms usually are pretty exempt from OSHA. They don't really come around for them unless there's an actual injury. Difference between bunks and silos. Bunks, you have a much bigger footprint, but they're much quicker to feed out of. You need more power and weight to actually put it in, but you can fill a bunk really, really fast as long as you have a good tractor. Silos, it takes a little bit longer. You can put a big blower on it, but feeding out of it can take a lot longer. Use the loader for mix and feed. The cat out back, we used to push bunk with it a lot, but mix and feed, push and bunk when I don't have my tractor. What is my projects plan for the winter? I got a lot of fall projects planned. I still want to set up a seeder for this fall. Do you recommend starting a YouTube channel? If you do, have zero expectation of anything. Like, don't expect it to take off. Don't expect anybody to watch your stuff. Expect yourself to be looked at weird when you're walking around filming yourself. Yeah. I had people say, oh, we want to start a YouTube channel, but we only want to do it if we make money. That's not how that works. Granted, this has turned into kind of a business here, and I know people that are a lot of followers it's a full-time job. We do have a local Deere dealer. If you've watched previous videos, you'll know my feelings on that. The Deere construction dealers, I like Smith. They're good people. And they're the town over from us. They're 7 minutes away. Acres of Clay in Minnesota. I haven't watched much of it. I don't have a girlfriend. Thoughts on manure injection? I think that's the way to go. But you need a pretty... I don't have a tank I could inject manure with. I wouldn't want to mount manure bars on it. So if I start looking at a decent hool that's like a 5,000 gallon, and you start looking at an injection set, and then I really need a second semi to feed that tanker so it keeps going. It's definitely the future. I want to inject manure. I think it's very, very valuable. Especially you can inject 15, 20,000 gallons, and there's very little odor. People don't even know what's going on. So I think injecting manure is big. Do you plan on expanding the farming? I definitely like to farm more ground. I'd like to be able to do snaplage. I'd like to do some dry hay. Definitely would like to farm more ground, but we're not going to milk more cows. I don't see us milking more cows. Would the farm ever consider another R series tractor like the newer one? We looked at going to an R, and I wish we had. The cabs are much more comfortable, and they have a lot more functionality. A 7R, though, is scary to me because of how much stuff they packed into the same area and how many horror stories I know from technicians that spend hundreds of hours trying to diagnose wiring issues on a tractor that has 400, 500 hours on it. I ran a 7230R in New Zealand a lot, and I really liked it. It was pre-emissions, though. I could put GPS in an old tractor. I have friends that have GPS in 7020s and 1066s and stuff like that. So definitely could do that. Good day from Tasmania. I always wanted to go to Tasmania. Someday I'll get there. Always seemed like a really cool place. Yeah, sorry if I missed some of the comments here. Yeah, I got multiple different jobs that I work in, but it's all part of the puzzle. That's the thing. So it definitely made it where I could. I don't know many kids. I have a few friends that work at like the prisons, either as COs, correction officers, or in like the power side of it, and then they go farming. It definitely makes it interesting, but it's all part of growing yourself. Manure injection is horrible on grasslands. We have to in the Netherlands. Yes, on grass, I wouldn't inject manure. On corn ground, I could see injecting manure. Lower splash plate or something like that would be good. Spreader. Yep, saw that on the spreader. Growing corn for grain, I don't see that as a valuable idea because I would have to have Frank combine it, and then he would have to take it from me because he has storage. For us, I think growing it for snaplage, which is just taking the ear off and then chopping just the ear, so it's like a high moisture combo. I think that would benefit us more, but it also is purpose so that when you have years that are really, really long, or you have a lot of feed, you have a way to cut down on cornmeal. Yeah, dribble bars I think are great. Definitely keeps it underneath. Work this week. I got my motor to put in. I got the clutch to put, or the motor and both my things to go in. It's supposed to rain at the end of the week. We got to get ready for second cutting. I got a lot of work for the dealership side of it. John Deere seems overrated now compared to other brands. I don't know. I think they all have their place. I definitely know of places that the support on John Deere stuff is superior to others. Chris, what do you think the milk prices? What do you think of the milk prices you are getting? I'd always like to make more money. always like to make more money. I think it was like, was it 17 where it was $28? Do you enjoy your job at De La Valve? At the local dealership? Yes, very much so. I like the farms I work with. A lot of them actually watch this, which it's crazy. I like working with the farms. When I worked for De La Valve, I'd visit farms and I'd tell them, you got to do this. And then I'd leave and I'd come back in 5-6 weeks. And I'm like, hey, did you do this? Oh, no. And so that was always the downside of it. My farm's like, if there's an issue, I can go visit you and then I can come see you in a few days and I can come see you again and make sure it's all good. I can follow up on it. So there's a lot more one-on-one experience there that I really enjoy. And that's a big part of having robots. Are you spraying the corn for bugs? No, we don't really have bugs. We don't live in an area where it started. Corn country, you have a lot of that. When we did sweet corn, we had mist blower and we did that. Would I try spreading water over the manure? No. We tried to spread in the rain on the grass ground. On corn ground, we tried to work it in as quick as possible. How are you going to store snaplage? If I did it, I'd put it in a bunk, unless I could find somebody with an ag bag. But I don't see that as this year because we're running out of corn silage, but that's further down the road. I'd like to do it. Yeah, when I worked for De La Valve, it was a networking experience. I met people all over the world, which was awesome. And then locally, I see a lot of things that I know. George Tully? Yeah, I know Tully's in Dunstable. So they're good people. Nice operation. The community doesn't really dictate what goes on. So in that, but it definitely, we have to be aware of them because, yeah, some people don't want corn in their fields. Some people don't want that. So it definitely has more restrictions. Like we can't go out and do whatever we want. A lot of farming country, you just do what you want, and if you don't do it right, then you suffer. Yes, I got all the parts for the 7520 clutch. It's all together. I'm hoping it's perfect. It's all together right now. Is there a farm upload today? No, this is it. I didn't put a video together. Yeah, if you're the best way to get a hold of me, duffyc91@gmail.com. So if you call the farm number, my mother will talk to you for a while and then she'll pass the message on. But usually she's like, can't do that all the time. Ooh, here we go. Chris, at the end of the day, when you work for the farm and you use the farm's equipment to do your farming, is that more of a wash? It definitely doesn't justify out as well. So at the end of the year, I'm going to give my father a bill for chopping or for buying feed from me, since he's always short on the farm's always short on feed. But yeah, paying him, I'm at like 25 hours on that tractor, and we really haven't settled on a price yet of how much an hour. So if I had my own tractor that I could do row crop with, which I told somebody I should just put it on the 7520 and row crop with that. It would look cool, but it would be pretty unpractical. How do you make snaplage? So you use a combine head on a chopper, and it pulls just the ear off, and then you chop the whole ear. So that's what snaplage is. It's pretty much right after corn. You go right into snaplage. It's almost the same thing as high moisture corn. Me and my father definitely butt heads on a lot of things. It's just how it is, but we both farm together. Definitely part of it. How do we do corn on corn? Fertilizer to keep it going. As far as pulling the nutrients out of it, a lot of manure. We have a lot of fields that we could not plant corn or plant grass in because of how many rocks are in it. It would just kill. It would kill the mower. So we can plant the corn. But manure, I think putting cover crop will be much beneficial to actually keep it going. to get better and better yields. But like our corn's looking pretty good this year. As long as we get rain, we're usually pretty good. But adding urea, making sure that's all okay. All our ground does get soil sampled. You should get a 60-30. I would like one, but I don't know what I'd actually do with it. But they're iconic. How many people visit the farm for tours? I think the park last they said, I don't know, last year was nuts with COVID restrictions and people moving around the country. But we've had years of 100,000 people visit the actual park. How much for a bag of composted cow manure? It's $5.50 a bag, or 4 for 20, and then increments of that. So after you buy 4, it's $5 a bag. Dream setup. Ooh. If I could milk 500 cows in a 8-unit robot barn, me and like one other person, have all your land out the front door, that would be pretty cool. But with that being said, I'd probably get bored because all my land would be out the front door. Automated any of the equipment at this time. All our milking equipment's automated. The feed pusher's all automated. As far as tractors and GPS, that would be the next automation side. How much longer are you going to live stream? I have no idea. I'm at 2 hours right now. We chopped the whole plant so we don't have corn stalk bales. I know there's a lot of places corn stalk bales are fodder. What kind of grass do you grow? Fescue and clover is the two things. Trinity Farm Dairy Channel. Are they Trinity Farm? Trinity Valley? Are they the ones in New York with 2 robots now? What do you think of Fendt tractors? I want a 724 Fendt. That would be my dream tractor at this moment right now. You ever do farm tours? I feel like I met you or your father before. We do. Usually it's for specific people, like groups and stuff like that. I bounced around. My father has given tours. My sister's been randomly giving tours. The park does have interpreters, and their tours are, I'm not going to get this right, 1 and 2 or 3 or something like that. Yeah, what else we got? Will you ever be able to own the farm and the land? No. You just can't afford it. The state would never sell the park, and a lot of our land is privately owned. For us to buy everything we have, probably at market value, it would be like 200,000 or 200 million probably. We have a section of land that we farm, and it's up for sale. Who knows if it's going to be a house or not? 11 acres for like 8.7 million or something like that. Yeah, you can't afford that. So a lot of it has the building rights and stuff has been sold off it, so at least it doesn't go into houses when it gets sold. Vets at the farm. We work with vets or Tufts Vets school, so that's our vet. What time is it for you? Actually, it's 8:15 right now. Planting grass around the fields and going back and forth. Cool concept, but because we have so much distance between some fields, I don't think it would justify like going over chopping 3 passes and spending an hour of moving equipment there and back. But definitely would make better. I think I could do better. I have some ideas as far as how I could do better. Yeah, keep it simple with anything modern equipment. Good rock picker setup. I ran a rock picker that I borrowed once. They just never ended. I'd like a rock rake and then see what goes on there, but like we go from everything from rock this big to a rock the size of your car. I don't think I'd go to North Korea. Whoever wrote that, I don't know. Doesn't. Yeah. Do you have any angry landowners? No, if they don't want to work with us, then they just tell us that they don't want us there. Most of our landowners absolutely love it. They get pumped when it looks good. They're excited. They're thrilled about it. So yeah, government planet and government deals as far as buying stuff. I've bid on things. Buying a farm in Maine, not so much. It's a tougher place to farm for sure. I got friends that farm in Maine that have big dairies and stuff like that. If I was gonna farm, I'd probably go out west. What camera are you using? GoPro 9. It's actually, yeah. I probably will buy another one. I got a GoPro 9 and an 8, but the back of that is, well, yeah, you can see it's all smashed. It's been like that for a few weeks. So someday it will probably die. So yeah, I shave for you guys. So I gotta get a haircut too. Ontario best ag school, Guelph. Yeah, I'd have to agree with that's probably one of the best ag schools. Guelph has what? A robot? Is there a rotary at Guelph? Or a parlor and a tie stall barn? Yeah, we need a rock picker bucket on the skid steer. I agree. It's supposed to rain here most of the week, and we could use some rain. I don't go to church. Somebody asked that. So my parents used to, and then they went dairy farming. What drone? I got a Maverick Pro. What are the specs on your gooseneck for your pickup? 36 foot, 25,000 pound, low pro. It's low pro, so it's like an inch lower. So, you can put all that extra stuff on it. I love it. I would buy another one. Probably not 30 foot though. Yeah, leaving space around the field and planting it. But we have some fields that are just awkward. But I'd like to put them into grass. Me cultivating that it's been a learning experience. So there's a lot of things. How does a farm fit into the relationship with the state park? So the state owns the farm, and we keep an operational dairy farm open to the public. Is how the whole lease works out. But like when something breaks, we fix it. When there's issues, we fix it. Unless it's like a major thing, like the septic fails or the well's bad, then the state steps in. But pretty much we farm it as if it's ours, and we pay for things as if it's ours, and our landlord is the state. So there's definitely challenges to jump around through, but there's definitely opportunities at the same point. Farming in this area to come into it and not be here for 300 plus years, like a lot of farms have been, that are still here, then that is, there's no opportunity because, like I said, the land cost is so high. Competition, as far as land and stuff like that, yeah, it's veggie people, but they usually want the better ground. Ground that we farm usually isn't the best ground. It's got rocks in it. So all of the really, really good ground usually is veggie people. Veggies or, yeah, I think it's only veggies. I'm trying to think who else. Wine grapes. I have a coworker that raises wine grapes in Pennsylvania. I have not thought about wine grapes. I don't think our soil would like it very much. I think there's hops around and stuff like that. The pull type chopper, that is my father's. I have tried to sell it, convince him to sell it. He says it's his backup. Yeah, that was not a very good investment by the farm. That was expensive, and it cost a lot of money. Started driving tractors at 5. I believe it. I used to get stopped on the roads. I'd be sitting on the road waiting for the truck to catch up or something like that, or my father. And I'd be like 10 years old, and people were like, "You're supposed to be doing that?" Yeah, we can do that. What kind of machine would you buy if you had unlimited money? Probably buy a newer class. A fleet of R models. Fleet. I'd definitely buy a Fendt, but I'd also keep some old iron around. No, I don't like picking rocks, so I'm probably not going to go pick anybody else's. Massachusetts is full of rocks, and now we have rocks, but like you go to the central part of the state. I have buddies that they just farm on boulders. Fruit growers, not so much. It's all veggies. There is some fruit. Well, depends what you're considering fruit. Like cranberries is a fruit. Was I always mechanically inclined? I think so. I always wrenched on stuff ever since I was younger. My father doesn't wrench on stuff. I do. So it's definitely different there. But I went to school for ag in college, and I went to automotive tech school in high school. So any chance of helping you get an 8-row planter? Donations, enticement, name on a brass tag on the planter. That would be interesting. I don't know. We'll see. I honestly think if once I get merch going, that maybe that could be a way of affording a corn planter. But my other jobs and everything else, that will also help. Do you usually bring the heifers home? So there's only like 10, 15 heifers on pasture across town. They usually come home in late September, unless they're calving earlier. I don't run the dump wagon on the chopper. It kills hydrostats for one. I can't get out of awkward fields. My father wants me to run it on the chopper. I can't fill the trucks as full as if I was going to chop into them. So then at that rate, I got trucks running back and forth that are half capacity of what I could do if I blew into it. So then I'm sitting, the truck might be rolling, but it's not full. So, and when we're running these far distances, it doesn't get any better. I know buddies who have dump wagons, double dump wagons, stuff like that run them. What's wrong with the 2155 4-wheel drive out back? Needs brakes. We did a motor job in it years and years and years ago, and it never really was right. It's got a lot of crankcase pressure. So it's on my list of doing stuff. Are you enjoying the stream? I am. This is interesting. I didn't expect it to be this long or this much comments. Let's see. Buying a corn planter or is the farm? That's where the problem is. So I put an idea to my father. I said, I'll buy like a quarter of it, but at the same rate, who pays for stuff when it breaks down or who pays what or this and that? So it's better if one of us buys it, because if I buy it, I'm going to bill him. But the thing is, the going rate of planting corn is like $23, $25 an acre. So if I made $4,500 a year on the corn planter, and a corn planter costed you 40 grand, 45 grand, take me 10 years, never mind the wear and tear. So am I ever actually ahead at that rate? But I could find a cheaper Deere planter. It really depends. What's your ideal farm size? For where I am now, 500 acres, and what we're doing right now would be awesome. I would be set. Do you have a bull? Yeah, we have a cleanup bull. I'm not a big fan of bulls. I think they're a tool, but they're a tool to help out where people weren't breeding cows. I do breed cows. I just don't have time to breed heifers and things like that. Yanko does herd cows, not in the barn. MDS hats. Yes, Ryan at Modestadera Service sent me a bunch of stuff over the years I worked with them. I enjoyed working in California. I don't know if I'm going to set up a GoFundMe account for buying a corn planter. That seems a little. I like how I'm doing things. 890 Kloss is a good chopper. Those are big wagons too, 24 footers. Yeah, trucks full. So the trucks are all just a piece of the puzzle. But the goal is to keep everything moving so I can get on to the next task. I said in previous videos, I don't make money on a self-propelled chopper. I make some, but it's not like I'm going to go get rich running a self-propelled chopper, unless I farmed a lot more acres and had, a lot more people. Yeah. So you fill a 70-foot silo in 4 hours. Are you the one with the class chopper? Yeah. You probably got a big blower on that and things like that. It does have some efficiency there, but being 15 minutes from the silo. So our furthest fields, by a truck without traffic, round trips like an hour and 10 minutes sometimes. By the time they come back. So we are considering a new mower, a Kuhn or a Krone, waiting to know what's up in the air. I would have already pulled the trigger on a 13-foot Kuhn in Canada or one in Georgia, but it's up to my father on that. That's not mine. How did you train Yanko? I didn't really. He just hung out with me and learned from it. Yeah, if you want to send stuff to the farm, at some point I'll drop a address or something. But yeah, our trips. So we farm a big area, and it all goes back to we don't pay high rent prices on ground, and it's diverse, and we're doing a lot of different things to make it all work together. But we're 15 miles from the farm, and if you're 15 miles from the farm and you got speed limits of 30 miles an hour, but you get stuck at a train, traffic, stop signs, bikers, it can drag on really, really long. Yeah, and doing custom. There was a talk of me going to New Hampshire and chopping like 200 acres of corn, and at that point, I was like, maybe I should update my chopper. So we'll see. When are you gonna get hats and T-shirts made? I'm waiting on the artwork guy. It's been dragging on. Healers are smart dogs. Make OnlyFans to buy a planter. I don't know. People might pay me not to do that. So yeah. No, it's definitely different what we do. Yeah, I definitely like chopping into bunkers a lot more, or having bunkers, than the idea of silos. I have friends that do silos or ag bags. It seems like you really got to spend the money on the blower, or the bagger to really keep trucks moving. So, and with a bunker, I can dump like 3 loads and then come back and push them up and work them in and do my own thing. Not dump them all, pack and throw them up. You got to go in between. I had friends that work at CNH. I still have friends that work at CNH. Yeah. See, CNH is pretty. I had a lot of friends that have worked at Case New Holland. I have a friend that I'd like to come work with us at the dealership that works for CNH. He's out in like Montana, California, and he's from locally. I would love to take over the farm in the next 10 to 15 years as my generation. We will see. Yanko's name is from Don Yanko, the Camaro builder. Yep. Very few people know that. Yeah, there's a ton of bikers in Massachusetts. It's crazy. But they do like time trials between the towns and stuff like that. That's why there's like, it's ridiculous. There's been a lot of people to go check out how to do things, and I appreciate that. We've had vet students come work for us as far as like internships, things like that. I always thought it would be a good idea to offer an internship to like Cobleskill where I was and say, hey, we're looking for somebody to fill this gap, and it would be good help in the summer. They'd get a different experience, but we've never actually got to that point. A lot of farms in between. Thinking, I've never thought about building my own manure injector. I'd be more about building another tanker. But inject into growing stands of corn. I've seen more and more of that because manures, you always have manure. You always got to get rid of it. So why did we stop farming cranberries? Price collapse went from 88 cents a pound to 18 cents a pound overnight, and it was horrible. Absolutely horrible. So we stuck it through for a while and it never came back up. My camera setup, and I went to metal. It's literally just the GoPro arms, but they're metal, but they wiggle now. You can never get them tight. So I don't know. I got to do something different. I'm just simple on that side of it. Yeah, Tufts really. So Tufts vet school, it's got a $400 bill on saying there. We only use them for preg checks. Otherwise, we do everything else ourselves. Are you going to post the live after it's done? I think so. Doesn't it stay up after you're done? I believe so. What's the one thing you hate the most on the farm? Winter. It's horrible. I hate snow. Your whole day gets stretched out and you spend 3 hours digging yourself out and then you got to go do your own thing. So I hate when winter comes around on the farm. YouTubers I watch, One Lonely Farm, Welker's, Brian's Farming, Larson's. So what else? Yeah, 10th generational. Has a manure tanker for sale. I know I'm not in the market to actually buy a manure tanker right now. Like maybe if I found a really cheap one. And that's usually how it works. But I got a lot of other things I would do. I'll have to check if it goes automatically after. Well, yeah, winter on farms. If you're a crop farmer in the winter, you might have some beef cows that you've got to feed, but that's it. If you're a dairy farmer, you have to do all of your same chores. So it absolutely gets horrible. Would you want a bigger slurry pull behind the tanker? A bigger tanker slurry? Yeah. A 5,000 gallon that would match up to my tank, to my semis would be cool. I don't mind broken down equipment because usually I can fix it. It's bad when it's all broken down, but stuff breaks. It's all. My coworker, as he says, something is always wrong, and something's always wrong. So someday I'd like a person that works for me that will do it. Of course, I watch Farming with Fabrication. Andy was on here earlier commenting. So we'll see if I make it out there. I talked to Renner Stock. They're awesome people. When I make it out to Illinois someday again, I want to go see they're nuts. So if you watch this and you like tractors, it's awesome. And Big Tractor Power did a lot of videos on their place. So John is sweet. Southwest has a drought. Yeah, weather's nuts. So I watch farming or Mike Mitchell. Yeah, that's just nuts. That's a whole different spectrum of farming. And he's all over the place as far as educational and new equipment and loving it. So self-propelled chopper is the way to go. I visited one of my farms, and they bought an 850 Kloss, and they had a self-propelled chopper. They're like, this is nuts. Like they're like, it's so much better. I'm like, I told you. And they're only chopping grass. I said, wait till you get to corn. I said, you're sitting there, you're looking in front of you, you got all your stuff, and you're just going. I'm like, it's so much better. You get done. They're like, we get done in the days. Yeah, so much in a day. Cranberry guy in Hardwick, Steve Prouty, me and Dana Prouty actually went to school. I enjoy visiting the Proudys and great times out at their establishment. So they're good people for sure. And they put that cranberry bog in. It's not long ago that it started growing. But they also sell some in the store, and some goes to Carter and Stevens for the brewery. So always been a GM guy. That's all we've ever really owned for trucks. So you were at mine today? My house? The farm? Appreciate it. Yeah, pull type choppers. It's I don't know. You can put a lot of horsepower behind some of the bigger ones, and you can move a lot of feed. But still, at the end of the day, you can buy a decent pull type chopper and buy a somewhat decent self propelled and just get so much better, so much more done in a matter of times. Yeah, it used to be. Trying to think. I can do with my self-propelled chopper what would in a day what it used to take me 4 days to do. And chopping corn is absolutely fun. I'm not married. Francisco who works for us. He's been 14, 15 years with us, so he can do almost everything. I wouldn't buy a Ram probably. How are the milk prices in Massachusetts? They're okay right now. Components are still paying. Granted, how it works in pricing, we're always in a better boat because of our area, and how they price it. I appreciate you, Ryan Stober, coming over. Good ice cream. I appreciate that. I don't know if my family thinks I'm famous. A lot of people keep telling me that, but I don't know. We haven't got to that point yet. We need a Fendt dealer around here. I'm in southern New Hampshire. I agree we do need a Fendt dealer, but I don't think Weavers, there's talk of Weavers buying other dealerships. I don't think they'll ever move up this far, but like the guys, so Hills in Addison have two Massies, and the only reason they still have the Massies is because of how good Weavers is, and they're 7 hours from them. Yeah, Royal Crest Farm and Spencer. Is Royal Crest and Spencer? I know the name. But V8 Detroit and an 04. Oh, an 85 General with a V8. That's probably a screaming truck. Yeah, milking cows is a tough way. My parents milked cows for a long time. They were the only ones on the farm for a long period. But a die-on chopper, though, like you can put a big animal in front of it, but still, at the end of the day, you're always looking back. Automatic milkers compared to like people attaching depends where your situation is. So like us, we're doing a lot of different things. If you're only a farm that milks cows currently, and you're the main person that milks cows, and you might have some hired part-time help, your efficiency probably isn't going to be as good. But if you're managing and you have a lot of help that's milking cows currently that you would like them to do other things to manage cows, or you want to get rid of that help because you can't find it, you become much more efficient that way. So it started off as like a fad, robot milkers for smaller dairies, and now it has grown to like Colorado, California, 80 unit barns, 100 unit barns. So 100 unit barn at 60 cows a robot, 6,000 cows. So it definitely makes it different. We're milking 120 cows with 2 robots. Trying to read. I'm not getting a high boy tractor or a high rise tractor. That just doesn't justify me. They are cool though. The market's come down a lot on them. But yeah, we milk 120 cows. Yeah, we milk cows in the stanchion barn. In the tie stall barn, stanchion barn, whichever one you want to call it. We milk cows 3 times a day. and I milked cows 11 to like 3 in the morning for a while, and I was not a big fan of that. But it's tough work, and we had automatic take off 6 units, things like that. Yeah, it's definitely milking cows definitely takes a serious person that it's in a tie stall in a tie stall stanchion barn. It's a lot of work, so people really don't understand it. I don't know if I'd buy a Kubota. They're coming a long way though. They definitely are. They bought Versatile and stuff like that. Yeah. We only have 1 or 2 bulls, so I can't really make a video. Yeah, I watch New York Farm Girls sometimes. How much does a robotic milker cost? Roughly 200,000. It depends what you get on it. So we've done 3 robots for 480, and that had some things, stuff like that. But it goes back to how you're going to utilize that actual cost. So if you're paying a milker $15 an hour plus a place to live, plus they might not show up, what's that worth? Not showing up, and then you're milking cows. People, yeah, if they're making $40,000 a year, but then you give them a place to live, you start penciling things out, and how could you utilize their time or your time better to manage the cows? I haven't figured out what I'm having for dinner, so. Yes, I know Jordan's Dairy. I've been there actually quite a few times. Yeah, really good people. I like talking with them. Mini Mows are good tractors. Good tractors. Yeah, a lot of bicycles on the road. We're not doing a tutorial on how to milk a bull. That's funny. 135 pound average 4.7 fat, protein 3/4. That is 135 pounds a cow. It's like the top in the nation. I don't have a merch store yet. We're gonna figure it out. Yeah, I should get tacos. I got them yesterday too. My brother used to have dirt bike races on the farm too. Little pit bikes, pretty wild. I pretty much just do robotic farms unless there's a need for me to go elsewhere. If I'm the closest person, or if I have the right part, or it's easy enough to fix. So what we feed our cows: corn silage, grass silage, straw. We do apple pumice, and then based on the market, either usually canola or I forget what the other one is. I'll remember in a minute. And then a mineral pack, stuff like that. That's what our milkers are actually getting. Canadian for a robot? I don't know. You'd have to ask them. Canadian mindset and dealers are all different. I'd go with DeLaValve. The new robots that came out from DeLaValve, the V300s, are awesome. Do you love cheese? Yes, I could eat cheese. I always eat cheese. If you have the ability to get Cabot Alpine cheese, hands down the best. We don't market it enough. Fairview and Woodstock. I've never been there. I drive by it. I got farms in Woodstock, so we have done a video of farm tour, and I have done some milking equipment. We'll have to update that. Instagram is Duffy C91. Can you do robots in a grazing system? Yes. New Zealand was robots in a grazing system at one farm I worked at. Ireland's been very good. Usually they're like 3-way grazing. So they understand how to manage grass a lot better than we do. And they can put in a pasture and fence it off and say, this grass will be good enough for 8 hours of these cows being here. So as the cows finish grazing that, they come back, go through a selection gate that says either go to the next grazing, go to the next paddock that's allotted, or go get milked. And they do that as their way of moving cows by themselves. which is it's nuts. So trying to think of what the name was. Riverhome? Alvin Reed. 6 robots, 500 and something cows or something like that. And it was the cows just did their own thing. So a lot of that, but it goes back to having good grass and keeping things moving. Yeah. Check out Bunker branding for merch products. Don't keep many heifers. Cabot Series Sharp is amazing. It is. All of the Cabot brand, we own it. So we directly own the brand as being Agrimark farmers. So we really, really appreciate everybody in the Cabot brand. And I see more and more of it. Like I got friends in Pennsylvania and they're like, I see Cabot in the stores now. And I see it on the West Coast sometimes and things like that. We do compete with Tillamook on that. But yeah, Cabot, Alpine Cabot cheese, hands down the best. Always get like 6 or 7 bars when I go grocery shopping. Never been to the Royal Fair in Toronto, the Royal Winter Fair. I'd like to. What is your cow breed? Holsteins? Just grew up with it. Yes, been to Cabot. Actually, our last young cooperative meeting, since Cabot plant no longer allows visitors through the plant in Cabot, Vermont, because of people we sell to the biosecurity side of it. They didn't want random tours and stuff like that. We actually got in as the last people that were able to go through a full plant tour, and that was wild. That was like 3 years ago, and then we have our plant in Springfield and stuff like that. I'm trying to think. And McAdam in Chateauguay is getting a $30 million update. So, yeah, Cabot and Agrimark as our brand, it's really, really good. We don't have any Vulture dealers. I don't even know if there's any Vulture dealers in the U.S. What else we got? What is your favorite sandwich to eat? Like a Thanksgiving sub one would be probably, or a really, really good steak and cheese. Glad to see Cabot's in Tennessee. So when you buy Cabot, it's directly owned by the farmers. I don't know the exact. It's between 800 and 900 farmers that own the brand. And it's all family farms. We have a few farms that are like the 2,000 cow farms, but we have a lot of farms that are under 100 cow farms. And that's really what the brand is on. We AI almost everything. We have the bull as a cleanup bull. Georgia has Cabot in Georgia. I've been to Georgia. That's gets a little hot though. Have Cabot down in Cabot's all over, I guess. So I appreciate everybody consuming cheese and Cabot. Cow breeders easy or more difficult to train in the robots? Jerseys are the easiest to train in robots because they're curious. Brown Swiss, I'd say, are pretty hard on robots. What do you farm? We milk cows, but we do all the farming to do the cows, to feed the cows. We're not registered. We've never been registered. We never showed cows. Milk 120 cows, crop 360 acres or so. Cabot dip's really good too. Everything Cabot's really, really good. How many heifers do you keep a year? So our goal is 5 a month. We don't always. Sometimes we keep a few more. Do you truck your own milk? No, as Agrimark farmers, we don't truck our own milk at all. It's I think it's more of a conflict of interest. So we don't truck our milk. Tomahawk out of Rhode Island's pretty much the only game left in town. We have 2 Daves that truck our milk. They switch off, but they're and then Ray, I guess Ray's the owner. He's been trucking a little bit. He texted me the other day. Do you think Organic Valley is good? I think they're good product. I'm not an organic guy, and I'm not going to ever say we are. It is a farming method, and it's a selling tool. So, nope, McDermott's doesn't. Tomahawk does pretty much everybody in southern New England now. Few other places. McDermott's is now DFA because they got bought, right? Yeah, that's how that worked. When McDermott's got bought by, I don't even know, the co-op, St. Albans co-op, and then DFA bought St. Albans, so that's how it always worked out there. 6910, I don't know. I don't feel it's that much further ahead of Chopper compared to a Kloss. Instagram's Duffy C91, and then my email, if you're going to email me something, duffyc91@gmail.com. Kept that easy. How many acres do you farm? 360, 370. We don't need to. We were growing, so we went from milking 70 cows to milking 120. And so we were growing rapidly, and we grew super rapid as far as our heifers. So we cut back on trying to raise heifers because cows in a robot barn, they live longer. There's less stress. So then you don't need it. You don't need as many replacements. I don't want 2 choppers. It would be cool to have a backup, but if I have a parts machine, I have most everything I need to switch out. Yeah, pretty much the only 2 games in town in the Northeast until you get out to Western New York and maybe some of the Stewart shops and things like that. DFA and Agrimark. So, yes, we farm outside of Boston, Massachusetts. Smithson Holsteins. 35 cows and sell to Cabot? I think so. Can you get a Freightliner or a Peterbilt? I don't know. A Peterbilt, when you take them off the road, they're not really a farm truck. But it's all part of it. So cows you can milk with a single robot, 50 to 65 cows. Depends how you manage it, what your expectations are out of that. Yeah, and there's a lot of places that are producer dairies in the Northeast that do their own milk, things like that. So, yeah, and I agree. The organic process, we're not going out and spraying a ton of chemicals, but GMO, corn is a GMO to begin with. It already genetically modified itself. So corn started off as 2 pieces of grass, and now we got corn. So when people say GMOs, things like that, but even people that spray, the whole point is not to go out and soak stuff in chemical because it's a huge cost. And it doesn't get you ahead. We milk 120 cows. So 3D printer for rapid repairs, that might be a good idea. Army trucks. That was one of my things I was going to talk about. Yeah, over the road on Army trucks for us, I couldn't keep drivers in them. That would be the problem because they just ride so much. I run the semi more than the Mac because I'm always spreading manure with the semi. And I haven't switched the bodies. I got to weld the bodies. I like driving the Mac the most out of any of my trucks. Freshening to first breeding, how many days? Usually 60. I'd like to go longer. I think we'd have more benefit. What else we got? So me being a robot tech, I just became one. But I have 11 years of experience messing with them and tweaking with them, and I'd put myself up against pretty much everybody in the States. There's a few guys that I know that know more than me as far as hands-on. And DeLaValve has a hell of a good technical team that backs up all of the dealership technicians, so we can call. But to really learn how to be a robot technician, it takes a long time. It really does. And it's a lot of learning. Bat and Kill Creamery, yes, good milk. I used to live out that way when I worked for DeLaval for a period. Which yeah, they have good milk. I think Warren Shaw's milk is probably the best, and then the guys up in Addison, I forget now. Keep forgetting the things. Do you have any Case or New Holland tractors? Nope, no Cases. Have you considered wearing ear protection when driving the 7520? I have a few times. My father wears ear protection in it. It really isn't that loud. It used to be loud. I put all the sound deafening stuff on the ground, on the sides. Got to do it on the roof when I put the headliner in. Yeah, Camelback suspension when it's loaded is good for running trucks. The robots, the valves are air operated. The older valves are, some of them were vacuum operated, but the arms and stuff like that is actually run hydraulically. I believe Lely's is all electronic or air. What's our herd average? I should look that up right now. Well, I don't know what rolling herd average. I guess I haven't looked at that lately. But 85. Yeah, I'm getting all sorts of text messages. Jared, you must be watching, my coworker. 80, 85 pounds, 150 to 180 somatic cell. We really don't push on that. But our components are I pulled it up. Yeah, 415 and 315. So components are paying, Muns are good, PI is good, Raw's good. Well, yeah, it's all part of it. Now that what else we got? New Hollands are good tractors. I think Genesis are really good tractors. Will I buy another 7520? Maybe someday. Now that I really got them figured out. Will I explain the relationship of the farm? I farm with my father, then I do my own stuff, and I kind of picked up spots that were missing in the farm as far as like hauling manure and things like that. So the farm pays me for that side of it. And then I picked up doing my own ground so that I can have my own farm plates, have my own farm, do all that stuff. But the farm's gonna buy the feed back. They always buy feed anyways. But yeah, the robot arms are hydraulically controlled. Dean Casey works for DeLaval here. Yep, I know Dean. I used to work with Dean. What else we got? Money is good doing robots. It definitely is good. It definitely is all part of the pieces. Yanko was here and then he left. He's hot. It's still like 90 degrees out and it's 9 o'clock. And I guess he went back over and laid on the couch. Watch a little bit of NASCAR. I actually went Top Fuel Drags 2 weeks ago and saw John Force and all of them guys. That was awesome. Yeah, I've witnessed cattle issues, and it's usually like crossbreeding. It is a dream. It is a really, really nice dream farm where we are, but at the same rate, it's unique. Monument Farms in Vermont. That's the other one. Yes. Do you eat ramen? I've only had ramen like 3 times since I graduated college. I used to eat it all the time. We don't have a MUNS limit. Somebody asked on that. Granted, MUNS go back to your urea level. That's all nutrition side of it. But we're well below. Where are my tank results? Yeah, 11.6, 11.3, 10.9. That all goes back to transition, I think. And no Hatchland Farms in New Hampshire. I don't think so. I know the name, I think. Yeah. What model Fendt would you get? 724. I'd be pumped about that, but I also cost a lot of money. What else we got? 11. What did you go to college for? I got a degree in ag engineering. My bachelor's in my associate's in ag engineering and a bachelor's in ag business management. So 110 here in New York next 3 days. It's gonna be that warm in New York. I saw like 113 or something down in Arizona or 119. Ugh. I think we're only gonna get 95 or something. But what else we got? Biggest benefit of having robots. Ability to manage and flexibility at the same time. So managing the cows and actually, like, we can go run crops and we don't have to come back and milk at that certain time. It takes a while to get there, but it's herd management. It's huge in herd management as long as you're open to the learning and going with that. So, does a vet or do you have a dedicated trimmer? We have a dedicated guy that goes around and hoof trims. That's what he does full time. He's got 2 guys that work for him. Yeah, Mike Mitchell has a 724. They don't make robots for milk and goats. They make rotaries and stuff. They milk water buffaloes with robots. I haven't seen them milk camels. Yeah, I'm probably going to stop the streaming soon because I do have to eat dinner and edit a video for tomorrow. We don't do soybean meal is the other thing that we might buy in. It is damn hot up in here. As far as the Northeast, we don't have really much waste management plans. K-folks really don't go into effect till you get to like Vermont, and I guess there's some in Connecticut. It's a size-wise when it starts going in there. Favorite actor? Ooh, I don't know. I really don't know. Just graduated SUNY Cobleskill. Good school. I enjoyed my time there. It definitely opened up some opportunities. I ran an 824 Fendt in New Zealand with triples. That was pretty cool. Eat kielbasa? Not so much. I'm more of like a steak guy. Yeah, 96 tomorrow. Water, water, water. Absolutely. So I'll probably I'll leave it off here. So if there's more comments, we'll do another video at some point. But I appreciate everybody watching along. 3 hours of live stream. A lot of questions, a lot of different questions. So I believe in aliens. Yeah, there's definitely other people out there. So probably not aliens. So alrighty. Everybody have a good night or good morning or whatever time it is you're watching this. So I'll see you guys on the next video. We'll probably do more of this because this was a good time. Thanks for watching.